Yo guys, welcome back to Marvelous Chats. This is the podcast. Tonight we've got Drunky, Kyle Crunk, Zebra Wolf, aka Alex. Let's bring them in and say hello. I'll let them introduce themselves. Hello, gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Finto, what's up, man?
Yo,
Finto,
what's
I
up?
can hear you,
What's
but
up,
I
what's
can't
up?
see your beautiful face.
He's depriving us all of the
What is
beautiful
happening?
Irish lad face that we've come to accustomed to.
My camera's not working.
Do you guys remember like the year and a half that we went where we only heard Finto's voice? We had no idea what he looked like. The
Yeah.
mystery that took place.
Yeah, bro.
It was mysterious.
We're back to that now. How's everybody? How was the week? Happy Friday.
It's been a week, man.
Yeah?
There's some crazy rumors out there.
Oh, yeah.
New shows. Oh, I can't wait. This is gonna be a great cast.
Hell yeah. Dude.
I think I'm officially marveled out for the day this podcast is gonna put the cherry on top because I watched What If today and I seen the Venom movie today. Like,
Wow.
I am
Dude's ready to go.
like back to back to back all comic book stuff. It's just nonstop for me today. Now we lost Kyle. We don't have Kyle on camera. We don't have Finto on camera. I'm not going to be here on camera unless
I mean, I'll be a talking
you get
head.
everyone back.
Oh, I know exactly what's happening. Sorry, there's a new feature. There's a new feature in Discord. I don't know if you guys are seeing it, but it prompts up a preview of your camera before you go live, and you have to select like a fucking if you want to put an effect on the camera first before it activates. It's kind of annoying. I didn't have my because I pop out our chat onto my main screen, and I didn't have Discord open, so I couldn't see the preview screen.
This preview thing he's talking about too doesn't even show up on mine. He's got like this fake green screen thing, and it's like, look at that. Look
It
at all
might
those
be like-
options. Yes.
It might be like a nitro beta or something.
Oh, I've got like basic nitro,
weird flex.
but I'm not nitroed out of my gourd like you are, apparently, bro.
I don't know, dude. I don't know what's going on. I don't want any of this crap. I just want my camera to work. There we go.
Yeah, there you are.
Nitro
There
my
we-
beer, not Discord. All right?
Listen, Irish man, what are you doing wearing a NASA shirt? Grow up.
Well, I like have an American
Oh.
passport, I suppose. On the boys.
Look at this guy over here representing the people who went to the moon. I appreciate that, sir.
No
Thank
problem,
you.
bro. I love NASA. I just don't think they did it in 1969. Please, I cannot get into this again. I'm sorry, not again. Okay,
You just started it. You
Okay,
just
bro.
started it.
I didn't
You
start
were
it.
Real quick,
I did not
you were
start
NASA
it.
did you
to
watch
the
that video
cast.
that I sent you?
You could have agreed with me.
No, I didn't. Sorry.
You were an acid to the
There-
cast, bro. What are you thinking?
There's a short, an Action Lab shorts I sent you on in a DM for Footprints on the Moon conspiracy, and
Okay.
it proves that it is possible to have footprints on the moon and to have like sand being kicked up.
Oh, I don't.
in a sense.
I don't disagree that the footprints are there. I just don't think that they went there on the day.
Like they went there on a different day, or
Yeah. Like they just went
We're
back
gonna
at
need you
it.
to do a shirt change mid
so they
podcast.
so they just filmed it, came back, and then developed the film.
And no, I think it was filmed in like Hollywood, and they like went to the moon later on after they won the race.
The only argument
but
I've
they-
ever heard that I would have believed, and you never mentioned it. The only argument I've ever heard that I would have believed is that bringing back the footage, the radiation going through the atmosphere and stuff like that would ruin the footage. So therefore they filmed it in that. That's the only thing that I ever heard that I was like, all right, that makes sense, but it hasn't been mentioned yet.
Look,
So,
I
don't know. You wore the shirt. That's all I'm saying.
genuinely, I do not care enough about the subject to actually go and do some proper research. I just,
But you
I just
will
don't
pay.
believe
You
Well,
will pay
I-
us. You're paying us. Yeah, you're giving our NASA money, and I appreciate you.
yeah, fuck yeah. I want to
Well,
see.
I'll just
I want to
say
see.
this.
I want
I
to see
do care
NASA do
enough,
well.
and I did the research, and we went there. Okay,
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I was there. Okay, thank you.
Oh my god, what a start! Here, I want to actually show you something cool. So, I was in my parents' house today, and I brought my Luke Skywalker.
Is that your first
From
one?
episode 4. This is like the first one that I ever bought. Hang on. Bing.
That's why I didn't think that was a lightsaber at first. I
Look at
really
that.
thought Finto was taking us down.
Imagine. No,
Dude,
no,
that
that's
is nice.
It's beautiful, bro. It's like proper. There's no battery in it at the moment, but like this is the first lightsaber that you see in Star Wars. This is the one that comes out of the chest that Alec Guinness takes out of the chest.
Ooh.
Oh, bro,
Surprise.
it's
Have you ever
amazing.
seen the meme where it's like, this is the person who's supposed to save the universe, and like, it's
Yeah, he's like this.
staring down the
Yeah, he's like-
lightsaber.
Hell
It's the
yeah, dude.
best.
It's not as cool as yours, Joe. Yeah, I agree. Joe was,
saw this
Joe was in my
guy.
Discord earlier, like showing off his lightsaber. He got it in Disney.
Oh, he's got a custom one?
Yeah, I think it was something he picked up in Disney. It's pretty cool.
Listen, if you don't have a black kyber crystal, then I don't want to hear it.
A black kyber crystal? Oh, you mean like the dark saber?
Yeah, no, you can get Disney. You can buy little kyber crystals for your custom lightsaber, right?
Gotcha.
And there's like a super rare one, a black kyber crystal.
Yeah, you can buy like a red one, and then like one out of every like 300 of the red ones they make actually has a black one inside. Instead
got
of
like
it being
special
red.
sound effects and stuff that it
okay.
puts into your lightsaber when you install it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Was not aware of this. I gotta get out to Disney
those-
at some point, dude.
Oh, you got to come build your own lightsaber, man. It's a whole
do.
experience. You go
I
inside
do.
the building, they put all the parts out in front of you.
Yeah, no, I do. I really want to do it.
Listen, left hand wand, right hand lightsaber. That's all I'm saying. All in the same day.
Epic. Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Okay. So I suppose we got to go into what if. We got to start with what if because
Season finale.
I think we should do a little. We'll talk about the finale, and then I think we go into a little bit of a kind of recap on the entire season, maybe just kind of rate it as a whole. We always kind of do that at the end of the shows. We did it with Loki. We did it with Falcon and Wanda. Funnily enough, anyone who's been here from the start, the WandaVision finale was the first episode of the podcast. That was the first one that we did. Yeah. So, yeah. So, here we are again. We're at a series finale and we're still going. I think this is episode 29, is it? Is this 29?
Oh, nice. Yeah, 29.
29, yeah. So we're getting there. Like, we've got a lot of them behind us now. So, yeah. Let's start with the round table. Drunky, start us off. Top left. What do you think?
What if season finale? I thought it was a pretty strong season finale. Like in terms of the actual animation and the way everything looked and all the fight scenes, I was pretty happy with everything. I thought it was good. But like I didn't think it was great, and I don't say that as a knock to it. It's just it's more of a serious thing where here we are at the very end. This is the Avengers assembled throughout the universe, and I find myself just not caring about it. I'm just like, oh, okay, like yeah, they're a bunch of people who we kind of watched separately all over the season, just kind of fighting a big bad, and I guess that's interesting for what it's worth. But the thing about the MCU has never been about everything individually. It's always been the strength of everything combined. And I don't think that this series pulled off what MCU did over the course of their movie series, where it's like you cared about all the characters in the very end of it, the end game, because they tied everyone together throughout the whole thing. Like you cared about this team, where this one I just didn't really care about the team whatsoever. It was fun to look at, but it was for a season finale, I would probably say like a 6.5 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. I'd say I'm right there with Drunky. 6, maybe even just a 6 out of 10, because after literally being last week 20 out of 10, I was so happy after ramping up us for this finale, and then for it to fall really so flat. And there's so many, there's still loose ends. There's them tying off loose ends that we never had the start of. So we're like, what is this loose end that we're Gamora showing up that they picked with the Stark and the random looking diva looking from Overwatch Iron Man suit, super weird. Don't know, looks like we're missing an episode maybe.
Yeah.
And then
Definitely.
like Drunky said, we really don't. The only two people I cared about in this whole episode were Thor, and because Thor was fucking hilarious with the Vegas every time, that being his battle cry, Vegas, and Strange Supreme, because obviously that's my homeboy, he's my favorite, but still the action didn't even live up to the last episode. If they would have topped off last episode, if this would have been better than last episode, I think I would have walked away from this season excited for, not really excited, but I would have watched next season with some hopefulness that it was going to be good. But now I'm just this is almost I'm just oh man, I'm gonna have to watch next season where they're gonna, maybe even continue some of this crap. So really big letdown after the huge amount of hype I had from last week, because last week episode was everything I could have wanted from the show, and this for a finale was left wanting.
Kyle just said something there that has me wondering now, because 9 episodes is a weird number. I think, right?
Yeah.
So, was there actually an episode missing? Is there some?
Yes.
There is, yeah.
There has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't
Um,
make sense. Like, why do we show up to Gamora and this Stark, who again is getting Stark got shit on this whole series, not you, Stark. And then, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the episode that we're missing is what if Stark didn't make it back to Earth? Because
Okay.
if you were to
That
think about it, if
makes
he didn't make it
sense.
to Earth, yeah,
But he
he would have
survived
probably
somehow.
ended up. Yeah, he's in the suit, and the suit's not like.
That would make sense because maybe Gamora is coming to rescue Nebula.
Yeah.
who's
I
with
mean,
Stark.
it's
Yeah.
during the first Avengers after like he sends off that missile. Yeah, I mean, it's possible he gets transported somehow, ends up in Sakaar.
Oh, sorry.
And-
I thought you were talking about at like the end of Infinity War, start of Endgame, where he
Yeah,
gets
that's
picked
what I
up.
thought.
I thought that's
That's
what
what
you
I
were
thought
talking about.
too.
You mean during the first
Yeah.
Battle of New York, he goes up into the hole and doesn't come back? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
that's,
because
that's
they-
way
they-
that's
There's
way
two
more
different
interesting.
points.
Yeah, that's way more
they
interesting.
they like Slayer, savior of Sakaar, which means that the contest of champions hasn't occurred yet. Which I mean, it's possible that Gamora was there, Tony was there. They pretty much won the contest, and somehow they defeated Thanos. And of course, they take the gauntlet, and so the gauntlet's not going to be used in that timeline. And then that's why they go and take it to Eitrig to go and destroy it. But
Yeah.
the weird, another weird. Oh, sorry, Drunky. Another weird thing about that is Eitrig's hands aren't like destroyed, which is really weird. Because
I think
when
you're right about the timeline too. Just real quick, because like
Mhm.
Stark jumps in with like the idea of there's a bigger threat out there. We need a suit of armor around the world, around the galaxy, and that's like a sentiment he had before.
that's around
all the
Ultron
stuff that
time.
went down in Infinity Wars.
Yeah, that was.
I think
Ultron
Alex
too.
is right about the timeline there.
Yeah, that's something I didn't pick up on. So fair play, Alex. I wasn't really paying attention to that. Nice.
and we know that Thanos is gone too, so like it'll be an interesting episode to watch, but I definitely think it needed to be included in the series, the first season, because I'm pretty sure the majority of us were like, why did he pull Gamora out of this? Like, we didn't even see what the hell happened here.
Yeah,
It's a strange occurrence.
it was. Yeah, I didn't really think about it, to be honest. I was kind of just going with the flow. I was just taking it in, What would you rate it, Alex? The final episode.
Probably 6 as well. Like it wasn't. It like some of the fight scenes were nice. It just hit that same cliche of the villain is always destroyed by its own ego, and therefore like he doesn't use his cosmic powers from the Infinity Stones to just destroy the Earth the moment he arrives on the planet. Logically speaking, those guys are like designed to kill, like to take him down and to extract the stones. So what better way than to just get rid of him?
Can I ask
But-
how lame was that setup where they're like, oh, we have this Infinity Stone Destroyer, and they go through this whole fight, and they're like, oh, sorry, wrong frequency on our Infinity Stone Destroyer.
Yeah, we have this gem grinder.
Yeah.
That was really weird pacing wise, because like it felt like they'd won the day and then like they got to go back through it again. You're just like, okay, like I don't think we needed the second part of the fight. Like
It's
we
like a
got
stutter
it
step,
went
yeah.
pretty good the first time. So
Yeah. Go ahead.
It almost felt like it was how we all played at the playground, and all of a sudden like different outcomes come together. It's like, no, you didn't take this, you didn't do this, like I have super armor or whatnot. And that's how it felt like when they got that grinder on the stones. It's like, oh no, the stones don't work on this reality. Like what does that entail? Like why is it that course? Like shouldn't it just destroy those stones and therefore that reality gets screwed? Like that should be the end all be all. And then like, but they have to figure out the plot properly. So they probably overshot on what they were trying to do, and they were like, oh shoot, we gotta fix it. And so they made up this rule.
Yeah. I don't, like, for me, I would probably give the episode about a 7. Like I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like incredibly wowed by it, if that makes sense. It was fun. I liked seeing the team getting assembled. It was funny. Like it was interesting to see you know, Killmonger and T'Challa like beside each other, and like, you know, they're calling each other cousin and stuff like that. And there was just a few things in the episode I just was like, oh, this just doesn't like add up to the like the greatness of the last episode and kind of the power scales and stuff of the last episode. Like, you know, in the previous episode, we have Ultron with one stone literally slicing Thanos in half, who has 5 stones. Then in this episode, that Ultron has every fucking stone, and he can't kill a bunch of people like with ease who don't have any stones. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Last episode, the Watcher armored up last episode for a multi-universal fight. And then we got this fight after that. Like, hey, we're going to grind the stones up. And then Killmonger's like, oh, look, I got them.
Yeah, I hated that Killmonger as well. Like, you know, Stark puts the stones on and like tries to use them for a second and it kills him. Whereas like Killmonger is able to like control all 5 stones or 6 stones or 5 and whatever. Like, I'm just like, I thought there was like, you know, they reference it in Guardians of the Galaxy. They talk about how, you know, when Ego picks up Peter Quill and he's like, I knew you were my son because you held an Infinity Stone. You know, it's like, you're a god. And it's kind of like, you know, they're kind of throwing that out the window a bit because like they're letting people who are Black Panthers or, you know, like I know he has the power of the Panther, but at the same time it's like, you know, what is that like the same level now as like a god? Like how is he able to hold stones? Like, you know, 5 of them. Whereas like Loki had 2 and it drove him mad and he's a god. Do you know what I mean? Right. So it's, you know, I'm breaking it down way too much, but at the same time, I think this is our job. You know, like we're here to go deep on it. Like, you know, so I just don't. That really kind of annoyed me. Like, because I'm just like, you know, how are we to make sense of this with what we've seen before?
It has to be the armor, the vibranium armor, because it absorbs energy. You know, it can disperse and absorb energy and reflect it and deflect it in a sense. Like it has a lot of properties that we don't necessarily know about, and I think it's also like a plot armor that they can use literally.
Yeah. The safety net.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So because he's not necessarily touching the stones, and he's using the vibranium armor that Ultron had to get the stones into like in possession.
Yeah.
That prevents him from having to touch it. And because it's made of vibranium, it's not likely to invade his body as easily as it did invade Stark's, because Stark didn't have vibranium tech. He just has his tech.
Yeah, but like there's one thing about holding them, but then another thing about like having them in a suit and actually activating them and trying to use them, you know? And like you can see him charging them up and like he's about to use them and you're like, how is this work? How is this going to work? You know? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It gets really frustrating because, you know, at one end, it's like, all right, well, it's what if you don't want to take everything too seriously and dive it too seriously because, you know, our thing is going to make sense. Probably not. It's just, you know, it is what it is. But what's frustrating about that is they are relying on our knowledge of the universe to build this what if show. Mm-hmm. So when they go against what we already know, that's where the frustrations for me really come in. Yeah. And like I make mental leaps all the time from them. I'm like, okay, whatever, it's what if. But, you know, if it's like that, then every episode has, you know, really not developed their characters because they're like, oh, you know this character. You know Doctor Strange. We don't have to tell you who Doctor Strange is. You know all about him. You know his emotions. You know what he's like. You know Peggy and Steve. You know what their relationship is. You don't need to know any of that.
Yeah.
So they rely on your the knowledge you have about this universe to kind of take shortcuts as storytellers, and then they just kind of pull the rug out from underneath you when they do stuff that just doesn't really line up, you know, logically with how the MCU's worked up to this point. And then they're like, oh well, the Infinity Stones, they work different in every universe, don't they? Everybody like, like I just it's really frustrating.
It's crazy how much it really does like make a difference, though. It does say in the comics that there are different variations of even the Infinity Gauntlet, so it doesn't. It's enough to say that there could be different iterations of what the stones do. Like there's a universe where there's 2 Infinity Gauntlets and they each hold 4 stones, and that universe also has 8 stones. Okay. So it's like it's just this massive amount of different iterations that can occur, but the logic behind it felt rushed is what I think.
Yeah that was just, you know, like, and again, like kind of what you're saying, Drunky, like I try and really just switch off and just watch it. But it's very hard for me at times when I see stuff that's just blatantly like wild and out there. And I know we're talking about what if, but at the same time, like, you know, I'm looking at the power scales and all this sort of stuff, and that's something I just, as a fan, I can't ignore it. Like, you know, but and when I'm seeing like Killmonger like trying to power up 5 Infinity Stones, I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, you know, because it's like we see Loki with 2, and he's literally driven demented and tries to destroy planets, like, you know. So like I'll never, like, you know, when you first see him show up in the Avengers movie, and he looks demented, like when he comes out of the portal, like, and you know, that's just him having like one stone close to him, like, you know, the Mind Stone, that's it, like, you know. So it's just, I don't know, I don't know, like it's hard for me to accept. And like I try to just have fun with it and just enjoy it for what it is. But you know, it's hard. It can be hard.
We never saw another thing I was frustrated with. We never saw zombie Thanos with the gauntlet either again.
True.
So unless we're to believe that maybe that zombie Thanos like healed himself and that's the one that got cut in half, maybe he would use the stones to heal himself. Showed up.
You know, when the zombies showed up in the finale, when they, like, you know, they're all pouring out of the portal, that strange sense.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's not the zombies, it's what came with them. I was like, like, is this Thanos? I was like, oh shit, you know. And then it turned out to be Wanda, which was obviously badass as well. But you know, now I was seeing a bunch of kind of nerds talking about this online, and they were saying that, like, you know, have What If now kind of hinted that this evil version of Doctor Strange is like the most powerful thing in the universe, because he was like absolutely beating the shit out of this version of Vision, and like Vision was like throwing around like Wanda and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, are they hinting that this version of Strange is gonna be the be all end all? Because I think we all know that Wanda's going to be playing a very important part coming up soon in the movies, and she's going to need to be stopped. And I think maybe that there could be either our version of Strange or the evil version of Strange, which has also been rumored to be appearing in live action. Maybe that it's going to have to be one of them that takes him down. And I think that's quite clever in a way, because they're introducing us to this character in animation and showing us how powerful he actually is. And then it's like, when it comes to later on, and you know, in live action, we've just been built up to think that Wanda's now the strongest thing ever. You know, the Russo brothers have said, or like Kevin Feige said, like, you know, she is the strongest being and all this stuff. So now it's like, if, you know, there was a different version of Strange to show up and start kicking the shit out of her, people would be like, where did this come from? But you know, obviously we're kind of getting the hint in animation, like, you know.
I think the thing that's going unsaid here is that this Strange is using what looks to be like chaos magic to me. I think that really dark red, when he's doing his spells and stuff like that. Obviously, he does the Sorcerer Supreme, he does the actual spells, and you see the runes and stuff. There's times when he just has this red-looking fire in his hands, and I think maybe what's going unsaid here is that is chaos magic, and that I think you're right with what you're saying, that this is like the most powerful version of Strange, and maybe that's why he was kicking so much ass there. Yeah, I kind of agree. I hope we do see him in live action too.
I'd love to see him in live action, yeah. Absolutely.
A part of me is starting to think now that, you know, this is my theory. They're not just setting us up for cosmic entities, they're setting us up for magical entities as well. Because we're seeing a lot of Strange, we're seeing Wanda, we're seeing all these different types of magic and castings that can occur, all this different knowledge that's, you know, being created. And Strange is a being that can contest with Wanda, like, depending on how much knowledge he's obtained. So that's why when he was able to just massively contain all those beings, and then do the impossible, because he went into the library of Cagliostro and just read everything. And so now it's, you know, if you were to go up against Wanda, that would be an interesting sight, considering that she has chaos magic now in the universe, or in the multiverse. And it would be a really interesting moment to see them together in the multiverse of madness, which I think is going to happen.
To go off what you're saying there, I love that they showed that he's still kind of struggling with those monsters. Like, he's he's going to use his magic, and then like he goes
He nearly
full
can't contain it. Like,
tentacle arm. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got like tentacle arm, and then he's like puts it back, and like so he's still kind of struggling with it, and that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I
We
like
haven't even mentioned the finale. What'd you guys think of like the little pocket dimension?
that was cool. Yeah,
Oh yeah, it was pretty cool.
yeah.
I kind of
I
got
like how
like
they
a
dealt with
Men in
that.
Black vibe, the original Men in Black when they're like Orion's, the universe is on Orion's belt kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, I
got
love
that right there.
I
Yeah,
love that. Yeah, like
Yeah, I really like the way they landed the show too, with putting Natasha on a dimension where, or a universe where, that Black Widow has been killed off, and so she, runs right into Fury. Captain Marvel's like flying around.
yeah.
Which I don't know how Captain Marvel can't just handle Loki on her own, but I guess here we are.
Do you
I
she
think-
took
thought it was
Ultron
pretty
to
cool.
the center of a planet, face first into the molten core of a planet, but Loki's a struggle here.
Yeah. Do you
Well,
do you think that this is how they bring back Widow now that they've like resolved all their shit in real life? This is how they do that in real life. They get a different version of her.
If they gave us a live action like post-apocalyptic Widow like we have here,
Mm.
I really thought this post-apocalyptic Widow was
She was
a
amazing.
fucking gangster.
Amazing.
She was a
Best
badass.
version of Black Widow we've seen. Fantastic. Loved it.
Yep.
Loved every second.
And if like Clint's actually gonna be, I don't know if I can't remember the actor's name right now off the top of my head. The guy that plays Hawkeye. I don't know if he's actually
Jeremy Renner.
leaving. After this, does he have anything after the? How many movies does he have? Because I know he's got the show.
I don't
but-
think that's. I don't think like that's officially out there. Like I don't think his
See, I would
contract
love to
information
have them.
is out there. I wouldn't be surprised if he dies at the end of Hawkeye, like the series.
But that's
Wouldn't surprise me.
that's what we need though. Is like that's the cool thing about this Armageddon Widow is that she's kind of got his bow and she's kind of doing stuff a little bit in his style too.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it. And Drunky's right when the way they set that up too, the way that the line was, this universe lost their Widow,
Yeah.
and like just giving her a home to go home to. That was awesome. I'm like,
It was like that. The previous universe that she was in was utterly destroyed. There's no reason to have her still there.
she should have had the shield and the bow. We need full gangster because she had the Red Guardian shield too. That's the same one that was tossing that around. She should have had shield and bow,
Mm-hmm.
fully equipped. Yeah, I think if this season ends like that and they kind of like do I don't know, we know there's another season of What If, right? Like this is something
Yeah.
that they said they're going to
Yeah.
continue.
Fact.
So if I think their best bet is to try to not have the seasons connected and have the seasons be their own, like that was the end, that's that season, that's the end. Do the same thing next season where you set up some characters from different universes, multiverses, and then maybe have them come against a threat or something like that. But I think if they try to continue what they're going on, I don't know. I think in that last episode we got the best we were going to get from this storyline and this arc, and they need to do it kind of like, I guess, exactly like Dragon Ball Z or something, some other animes where they have arcs. We need another arc, another saga. Move on.
Yeah, I wonder, does like the Watcher just go back to watching now? The pocket dimension's safe, and we'll have events in the next movies and stuff like that. And then I wonder, like, do we just go back to the Watcher just watching, and he's just.
I want to see him get like punished or confronted for his oath breaking.
Might
that'd
be.
cool to see.
Eventually, I think he will. And yeah, like that's the whole point, Finto, is that he just continues watching other stories because those are stories that he holds dear to him.
Yeah.
As you've seen at the end of it, he cares a lot about the multiverse, and that's why he was so scared for the multiverse when Ultron got in. But yeah, like in terms of what Kyle said, I agree to a point. When it comes to what ifs, there's extra parts to it. There's part 2s and 3s and 4s in the comics. Now, I don't want to see any of the part 2s in the second season. I want part 2s to be later on to give some breathing room for that first set of stories to like set in. And then a third season will bring in some part 2s. That way we have like a large amount of different characters that got their just rewards for, being in a movie or being in a show and having some screen time, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think we're gonna get some like live action consequences to some of the stuff that's happened, and I think that's where the story will continue next. And then I think my kind of guess is at the end of the Multiverse of Madness, maybe the multiverse is closed, but then, you know, Uatu will come back into it in animated form, and we'll see what kind of multiverse he has left to play with or whatever. Like, it might be him actually dealing with the end results of the movies. Do you know what I mean?
I
Or
think
maybe him trying to rebuild a multiverse or something. I don't know.
I think What If's really a big avenue for them to explore things that they can't explore live action in a budget way, in a sense that, like, they had the Ultron Vision biting a universe almost like Galactus. They can do that every single episode. They can have galactic, universal, multiversal events every single episode, whereas in movies, that's only going to be a once every 5-10 years in a movie type thing. They can do things on a scale that they're just not, that they can't, I guess, maybe not, I don't want to say afford, but they're just not going to really do live action. And I think they need to abuse that. They need to do more of the, like, have maybe Uatu go back and see all the other Watchers, because I know there's a couple other Watchers out there from what I've seen that have like known personalities that have shown up. Like there's one that's always wearing, like, in his armor form, like he's a badass Watcher guy. There's a couple of cool ones out there. So just abuse that. Abuse the fact that you're a cartoon, like they did in that last episode that we all can probably agree was the best episode of the season.
Yeah.
Abuse the fact that you're a cartoon.
They can't. I don't think they can pull off something like the last episode in live action. Like, it was just too crazy. It was too action packed. It was just too over the top, like, but in a great way. And I just don't think that like works in live action. Even like stuff like the Evil Strange doing the tentacle arms and stuff like that. Like does that kind of look shit in live action? Like, it just, I don't think it delivers the same as it does in animation. So I think like they're very clever in what they're doing in those senses. Like, I think if they do a live action version of that evil version of Doctor Strange, cool. I don't think he has as many of those abilities. I think maybe, in the storyline he'll have learned to control the demons within him and stuff like that, and then it's like just their excuse to not have to do that in live action. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I think for me, in a season 2 of, if like, when they come back to What If, I would like to see something that's a little bit more connected throughout the entire season and not just like at the very end they tie it all together. I'm not a big fan of anthologies. We just got done watching Star Wars Vision. And this What If is kind of like a more drawn out, longer anthology that's been done over a whole season, right? Where they just kind of tied together at the very end because they were able to. But I just found myself not really caring when this thing came out from week to week. Truthfully, I don't think if it wasn't for this podcast, I don't think I'd been watching What If. And I'm someone who loves the MCU and I did the comic books, but there's just not enough draw for me where it's something different every week. I just want more through lines, more things that connect, more storyline that builds upon itself knowingly, not just like haphazardly at the very end.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like I had no reason to come back every week, and besides you guys, that's it.
Yeah. I think I can see the bigger picture. I think I know what's coming, and I think this season will pay off in the next couple of movies in live action, and then I think what's probably going to happen is there'll be some sort of a repercussion at the end of Doctor Strange 2, and then I think we go back into animation, and what the next season is probably going to start doing is building up Secret Wars. And then we're going to get Secret Invasion in live action and then lead into Secret Wars in live action. So I think they're like starting to bridge the gap a lot better now in animation. And I suppose, if we look at it in the big picture, What If, I know, is kind of staggered and all over the place. But at the same time, I think if you just take that as one piece and then each movie as a separate piece as well, I think it starts to kind of fit it all into one big picture, if that makes sense. But I do agree with what you're saying. I think I'm definitely a sucker for crossovers and connectivity and stuff like that. And for a lot of the What If episodes. And one of the next questions I was going to ask everybody was, what's your favorite episode of What If? Like, what was the one that hit the best? And I think I know everybody's answer, but maybe we might have a couple of different ones. But I think there's such if you try and think about that question, there's such a vast different amount of stories to think back on. So it's not like, you know, you can just say, oh well, I loved this storyline which covered a couple of episodes. Like you have to kind of think about it because each episode was so different. Like, yeah. So
I mean, I think there's a very obvious best episode.
Yeah, I think so.
Storyline wise, I think maybe, I don't know if everyone would agree, but the Doctor Strange one hit pretty cool just because like it was like the first one where it wasn't the entire movie was, or the entire episode was just redoing live action but cartoon. They only really did one or two scenes the same, and then everything was like a crazy multi-dimensional, and they ended in such a dramatic way that they came back to. So
I would just say speak for yourself, because my favorite episode was Ant-Man kills the entire Avengers.
I was going to say the same thing as a joke.
Because I know you guys forgot about it again too.
Ant-Man, I thought it was the Wasp.
Yeah, no, it was Pym's Ant-Man.
Yeah, I think of
And
Adam
he was
West.
as
He
Yellow
was
Jacket.
Yellow
Yeah.
Jacket.
Yeah.
I don't go for mantle transfers. That's Ant-Man.
Yeah, it is.
Paul
You're-
Rudd can get a
you're
new
right.
name.
You're dead
Enter
But
Man.
he's wearing the
Okay?
Yellow Jacket. He's wearing the Yellow
I
Jacket
just-
costume.
He was wearing.
I
it.
just
I change
absolutely.
my shirt every day. They still call me Brian. Or I mean Drunky.
I
We'll
just
see.
absolutely love seeing Hulk turn into a giant green cloud.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
That actually is the worst episode.
Yeah, it is.
I think
It was so bad, man.
I think it was, yeah. That or Party
It's so
Tour. I
random.
really didn't like the Party Tour episode too much either. Like, there was a bit of comedy in it, but not enough for it to be kind of labeled as a comedy episode, you know?
Party Tour was funnier in this last episode than he
Yeah,
was.
that's what I mean.
in
In his own one, that's what I mean. So that like
in
that
Las Vegas.
that makes it even hit for me less when I think back on it now, because it's like you had an entire episode to do that with him, and you did it better in like 6 minutes of like scattered scenes, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I think for me the worst episodes were definitely that episode, which was episode
Dude,
3, wasn't it?
I-
So 3 and 6 I think were the worst ones.
I just remembered my favorite part of the episode when Strange multiplies Mjolnir.
Oh,
There's
that
just
was
a
very funny.
million
Yeah, it's
of
like
them,
boop, boop, boop,
dude.
boop, boop, boop. That was
And
brilliant.
then Thor
That was very
shocks
funny.
them all.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Like,
good.
I was kind of thinking when like Uatu's like bringing the team together, you know, and like, I don't know, I like the character of Peggy Carter, but at the same time I'm kind of like, after what we've seen in the last episode, I'm like, what are half of these people going to do against this Vision? Like, seriously. Like, what's Peggy
Wait.
Carter going to do?
Did you not get and like just buy into the fact that Black Widow and Peggy Carter were able to throw their shields at him for fucking 5 minutes and hit him in the head? That didn't work.
No, bro, it didn't
God
work.
damn
It did not work at all. You know, I
These-
think the humans are there to kind of just like be distractions, I suppose. Like,
Yeah.
as in, you know, try and like steer the fight one way. But like, you know, I'm thinking like, you know, you've got an entire multiverse to play with, and you're picking up Peggy Carter. And you know, like, come
Why don't you
on,
just go
bro.
get 10 Doctor Stranges.
Get
what are we
fucking
doing?
5 Hulks and you know what I mean? Like, just you know, yeah, like, do you know what I mean? Like, what?
They
are you
just
doing?
start fighting each other
mean,
to find out
yeah.
who's the strongest.
I know, but like, you know, you just tell them to deal with the Vision first, and then they can have their slugfests
Listen.
after.
like we said, Captain Marvel took this Ultron by the face to the center of a planet. Like, you got to be, everyone on the team that you pick up has got to be capable of that minimum, because that didn't do the job.
Yeah,
Like,
well, this is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You know,
yeah. So
Wait.
Peggy shows up, and I'm just like, are you here to make everyone a sandwich? Because
Oh,
Wow.
Huh?
Wow.
bro. Banned.
listen.
No,
Look.
I know what you mean, bro. Like, seriously,
I had to
like,
be
you
the
know,
heel.
it's again, it's me kind of going back to power scales and thinking too much into it. But like, you know,
Yeah.
after the last episode, like you're looking at this. You're looking at this Vision, and you're like, nothing in the universe can stop him. Like, you know, and it's like, okay, let's pick up like Carter with a serum, and Black Widow. Like, I suppose Black Widow wasn't really there. Like, was she really chosen? I don't think she really was. I think it was
No.
just that.
Well, the fight was on her planet.
Yeah, her planet was the venue, so she was kind of just there. But
She stepped up too. Like,
I respect that, obviously, and you know, I think she was great in it. But at the same time, it's like this terrifying villain who's the most powerful villain that we've seen so far in the MCU, and it's like you're getting like B C-listers like to go against them. Like, you know, there's you can, if you think about it, you can get so many more powerful characters in a fucking multiverse. Which
is that Widow from the original universe that the Ultron started? Because isn't the idea that they've they've been fighting the Ultron and he caused the apocalypse?
Yeah, so I think the purpose of having it on her planet was because, you know, you have to give her the motive. Like, it's personal for her. Like, you know, her planet was destroyed. So it's like, you know, she's going to give everything. Like, whereas if you got a Widow from a different Earth, she'd be well out of her element. Like, she wouldn't know what's going on. Whereas this one's fighting for revenge, you know?
And how did you feel about Arnim Zolov being the hack? That turns into like this.
I don't know about all this, bro. You know, like that was like a fucking computer program that was developed in the '60s or some shit. Like, I'm like, how is this fucking thing taking out like Vision with 6 stones? Like, you know,
code never changes, baby. Code never changes.
Yeah, not at all. But you guys are all telling me that you didn't love that they made so many references and homages to all the previous movies. Are you telling me that? Are you telling me you didn't love Winter Soldier? You didn't love Civil War?
Second I saw Winter Soldier footage, I was like, this is amazing. Like, Carter in the stealth suit was great. But does she deserve to be on the team to take down the biggest villain in the fucking universe? No.
But then,
I'm sorry.
But then you get like an homage to Civil War when the two were attacking, you know, Iron Man, and so like they're still attacking an android-based, you know, enemy.
Yeah.
You know, did you love that Thor screamed like he was in Thor Ragnarok and came and everything was completely fine?
Thor deserved to be on the team. I probably would have had a few more Thors if it was up to me.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about that, because in the comic for What If the Watchers Save the Universe, Thor is one of the characters that gets pulled in.
Of course.
Including, and it includes Doctor Doom, Wolverine, and Iron Droid. But those are the 4 that are pulled.
Yeah.
But, and like, I could say that Captain Carter deserves to be on the team in the same manner that like Captain America shows up to fight Thanos. But what the show doesn't capture is like what's so good about that character. Like, Captain America's good in that scene because he's just a super soldier. He's just a dude who's been like jacked up a little bit, right? And he stands up against, like, at the time, like the biggest dude we've seen in the universe.
Yeah.
And like he's like, I don't care if I'm just this guy.
I could do this all day.
I'm still getting up. I'm still getting up, dude.
Yeah.
And they don't give any character that moment. They're just like, all right, Doctor Strange got you, bros. Got you. Like,
I didn't even give her the line when she jumps out of the plane. Like, oh, did she have a parachute? She didn't even get that line. And I felt sad for her. I was like, man, how do you not get that line?
So,
what line, sorry?
I don't know.
When she jumps out of the plane to go fight on the boat, and they're like, did she
not
wear?
Yeah, I thought I was waiting for that too. Yeah, I was waiting
that line didn't happen, and then I also wanted to see cartoon George St. Pierre, and that made me sad that
we did see him.
George St. Pierre. It wasn't.
It was his voice though. It was his voice.
Was it his voice?
Yeah, he was in the credits at the start, but his likeness was awful. Yeah, but it was him. It was him.
It didn't even sound like him to me. Like I was trying to. I don't know.
No, it definitely was him, because I know the second I saw the opening credits, I always read like the names of the actors at the start just to kind of get a feel for the episode, and I saw George St. Pierre, so I was like, I wonder, is this? It must be either Winter Soldier or like Falcon.
The likeness was terrible. Though,
yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Yeah, it was bad. Oh, I'm terrible at art. I probably could have drawn him better.
I wish these were drawn, man. Like, the 3D at first I thought was kind of cool and interesting, and as the series goes on, the 3D modeling is just kind of wearing on me. I just wish it was hand drawn. I don't know. Maybe it's because Solar's Visions came out and I saw how gorgeous it could be when you hand draw this stuff, and I'm just like, now I'm watching this stuff and it just feels kind of gross. I don't know. It's just like, ugh, all right.
I think for this project they really wanted it to be as close as they could to the movies. Like, you know, they wanted it to have that kind of MCU feel to it. Whereas with Visions, it's like, let's just get creative. Let's throw it out to all these different like art houses and let them just go wild, which worked amazingly in its own sense. But I think if you were doing animated stuff that was tied to the movies and Star Wars, like what they've done, they kind of do the same thing though, don't they? Like they kind of go down the 3D route with like the stories that link into the canon timeline. So it seems like if we got some MCU stuff that wasn't connected, maybe they would draw then, you know.
like sure, but I don't know. If you ask me if I want to watch What If or like a DC animated film, I'd watch the DC animated film
Oh
because
yeah.
I think it's much more pleasing to watch. Like not only are their stories better, like it's a whole other thing, just but artistically, like
Mhm.
it's much more entertaining. So maybe they are trying to tie it to the MCU and make it look 3D and real, whatever. But
Yeah.
just in terms of it landing as its own product, like hand drawn animation is way better, way better.
Oh yeah,
I
I
agree.
completely agree.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So, worst episode was definitely the Yellow Jacket one. And what was your best episode? Sorry,
I
let's
would
let's let's
say
let's take out the episode 8, I think, because I think episode 8 is probably going to be everyone's favorite episode.
that was
No.
the one right just before
Just
last.
just before the last one, yeah.
That would
It
probably
wasn't
be my
really
second favorite. And
Okay.
it's only because I desperately wanted that connection and that chemistry between Black Widow and Hawkeye on screen, and we
Man, that was
finally got it.
so
It
good.
was so good.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'd probably say I'm with Kyle, the Doctor
Yeah.
Strange episode, because it took something, it felt like a really emotional piece. It's like they went
Yeah.
for something that they don't have in the MCU. They went for something emotional,
Yeah.
where all the other ones just kind of felt like
Disasters.
action pieces and disasters and over the top. This went for like a whole different. It wanted to affect you differently, and it worked. It totally worked.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We haven't felt emotion like that in the MCU since early, like Phase 2. I feel like
I haven't
Drunky.
felt it since I was 12.
Yeah, Drunky said it. He's been saying it throughout the lifetime of this show. Just the emotions kind of missing. Things don't hit the same anymore, and it's something that
Yeah.
we're desperately kind of searching for. And yeah, that episode delivered it really hard, and love to see that kind of emotion hopefully delivered. I think Spider-Man is a very good venue to deliver emotion like that again. And so we'll have to see. I'm so excited. I mean, we have Eternals next, and then Spider-Man, and obviously Hawkeye.
Spider-Man is 70 days away. That's
You
not a
have
lot.
you have a
That's not-
timer on your phone?
I just saw it online today. I'm not actually counting it down. I just saw it. I
December
saw it in the tweet
17th?
today.
Counted down.
Yeah, I'm not counting
And
down.
then
no.
Morbius a month after that.
Yeah, like so we're pretty packed. Like we've got
And then Doctor
Eternals.
Strange after that.
We've got Eternals. Fucking Venom still hasn't been released here, but we've got Eternals. I have Venom, Eternals, then Spider-Man, Hawkeye. What else? I don't think there's anything in January. Book of Boba will be playing through January, and then February we've got Doctor Strange 2. So it's jam packed. Like there's
Yeah.
pretty much something every week. I think for the next maybe 2 weeks we might need to get a little creative on the podcast because I don't think we're gonna have a crazy amount. Like next Friday, maybe in the next podcast or the one after, I'll have definitely seen Venom, so like I could probably talk for a few minutes just about what I thought, and maybe we can just rehash it a bit. But I've already heard so much about it as well. I definitely want to get what you guys think. It's fresh in your mind, Drunky. So I think we should, after we finish What If, I think we'll talk Venom 2. I've already heard some crazy stuff as well, so I don't even care what gets spoiled. I mean, I already know Cletus gets his head ripped off or something in the movie, so I'm just like, fuck's sake. I'm just like, no way, bro.
I mean, the part that you really cared about is the only part that matters anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Just going back to that Doctor Strange episode though, before we leave What If as a topic, my favorite part, like one of my favorite parts of the entire series, is the end of that episode where the universe is being destroyed, and it's literally like ink coming off the page. You know, the way the effect that they had, it was just like, it was so beautiful. Like, and it was very kind of creative and intelligent the way that they did that. I thought it was
Yeah.
beautiful. Like, and
That,
it was
that being
when I
stranded alone forever thing.
when I
was
first
crazy.
saw it as well, I didn't really like put it together. But then, you know, when you think about it, you're like, I was like, oh my god, yeah, like that's like the ink coming off the page, like, you know. And it was just like, wow, that's crazy. It's great. What was the second episode? Sorry, Joe in the chat here saying the second episode was his favorite. Remind me, what was the second one again?
Was that the
First one.
T'Challa as Star Lord?
T'Challa Star-Lord, it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty good episode. Didn't really like hit it for me altogether because I think it was like the first couple of episodes of the show. I think we're just kind of following the movie scripts and templates a little too much. Like the first episode was pretty much just the first Captain America movie with a couple of different changes, and it wasn't very like mentally interesting, like too insanely interesting. But and I think the second episode again was kind of just Guardians of the Galaxy, but with T'Challa instead. You know, it was fun for sure, but I think
And then the first episode we got that was off script was the Pym one.
yeah, and then that just
murdering everyone.
that just
I would say the second episode like kind of felt like them like flexing, right? Where on the first one it's like, all right, they swapped out Steve and Peggy, which is like interesting, but it's kind of like a small swap. They're in the same storyline. It's just kind of an adjustment.
Yeah.
Where the second one was just a like, hey, the gloves are off, like buckle up. You know, we're gonna steal T'Challa out of Africa and take him to outer space. We're gonna put Thanos as a good guy. We're gonna have your bartender be Batista. You know, we're gonna take Nebula, make her like this noir lady. Like, we're gonna do whatever we want with this show, and here's what's gonna be.
Yeah.
And it also showed that can be a problem because if they had somehow made Star-Lord and T'Challa both boring characters in the same move, which I didn't think was possible, but they did it for me.
Just speaking about Steve as well, actually, the very end of the series, we see Peggy finding the Hulkbuster suit, and there's a frozen Steve Rogers who's like unaltered in it. I kind of like was like, can you just freeze a human and they live? Like, I didn't really understand that. What I would have loved to seen there, and I got excited when I saw this scene about to happen. I was like, oh my god, Winter Soldier Steve! Imagine that. Like, so you have like Steve Rogers.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah, you get Steve Rogers that got the Winter Soldier serum, and Captain Carter. Like, imagine that. Like, imagine the power couple that would have been there.
I thought it was gonna be Walt Disney. Like, Walt, are you in there? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, Walt, it's time to come out.
What if we can do anything now, man? All right.
That would have been hilarious, actually. They don't like poking fun at themselves like that, though, so that definitely wouldn't have happened. Absolutely not.
I mean, they've been getting, like you said. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'd say you said last week they were told ahead of this, like, hey, use Disney properties. So I think next season they really gotta flex even harder than they did this season, and they need to pull out of the MCU for more like, because everyone, whenever Howard the Duck shows up, everybody loves it. I myself am always just like, yeah. But everybody else seems to be like loving it. Like, oh, Howard showed up. Yeah. And
Howard the Duck is only cool because boomers like love him, and then everyone else acts like they're supposed to love him, like, or unless they're like missing out on something. Like, oh, we're supposed to like this guy. Oh, he's the fucking coolest. Howard the Duck.
I know he shows up.
I
think
way everyone likes Howard the Duck.
Boomers like him just because they're like, oh, it's something I recognize. Heck yeah. You young kids don't know nothing.
It's a nice little tidbit, but yeah, we don't need Howard the Duck sitting out here.
They had him twice in this dumb series. Like, you don't
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't put him in the entire like
give him
series,
an episode. Yeah.
like for the whole season. Just every time, like he'd be the Stan Lee of the season.
Yeah.
They need to actually have
so
Stan
ridiculous.
Lee.
Joe in the chat as well. Walt Disney would have been Red Skull.
I
That would
mean,
have been outrageous.
it fits
Why
the
not?
Nazi part of it, you know?
It
Like-
fucking does. It fucking does.
Well, that's one thing. That's one thing I really think that they should do in the second season. They should have really wacky types of what ifs now. It's like, we got the serious part. We got, like, you know, some of the intense stuff here and there. We got some like interesting moments, but like, what if we had so many different types of wacky ones? Like, there's one called "What if the original Marvel Comics staff had become the Fantastic Four?" Or, you know,
Yeah.
what if Peter Parker was bitten by a radioactive sheep?
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
There's an A24 movie coming out about that.
I think as well, you know, when we get to the second season, I think we have a lot more properties opened up as well. So I think you can start bringing like Deadpool in and start doing some fourth wall breaks. You know, imagine like, what if Ryan Reynolds? What if Ryan
Simpsons episode, bro? Come
What
on.
if Ryan Reynolds was in the MCU instead of Deadpool or some shit? Like, they'll do something weird like that, you know.
Oh, that'd
we
be
need-
fun.
They
For
need
sure.
to have his original Deadpool fight his good Deadpool.
Yeah,
we need
for
the
sure.
X-Men Brotherhood and Doctor Doom introduced so that we can get what if Magneto was stuck in an elevator with Colossus, Iron Man, and Doctor Doom.
Oh my god, that's
Such ridiculous comics though. Like, and that's what I really liked about the series. There were some serious stuff, but there's other things that are just completely out of nowhere that just
Yeah.
they're just there to make you laugh. And I
Yeah.
think that's what they tried to do with the Party Thor situation, but they made it a little too serious midway.
Yeah.
And then we lost touch, and then we got, so it was like a roller coaster. It was funny, then not funny, then funny. It was just all over the place.
Yeah.
It feels really stiff too, right? Like like everything feels stiff. The humor feels stiff. It feels almost like designed by committee. Like there's no like soul to this show. It's like they're like this is what we should do, and they check everything off. Here's a joke, check mark. Here's this character, check mark.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like there's like this fluidity to the show that, like, I don't know, man. It feels tight.
It was
Yeah.
rushed.
Every time Darcy was on screen or Adam Rudd was on screen.
I feel like what they were doing with the show is like trying to test the waters, you know, and I think they have a bunch of data that they can go back and say, okay, you know, the serious episodes went down really well. The kind of, you know, Vision, like superhero style, like crazy battle stuff went down really well. The comedy stuff maybe not so well, but we could maybe do it better. Like, you know, I think like a lot of what you're saying, Alex, sounds hilarious, but I don't think you can pull off shit like that in the first season. I think it's too out there. Whereas now, maybe, and again, maybe after the movie, they turn around and say, like, you know, okay, now we can go kind of wild with it, like, because, you know, I think if half of the rumors that we've heard about Doctor Strange 2 are true, we're gonna get some fucking crazy shit coming up. And I think then they have the kind of permission from the normies and the understanding to actually just go and do an episode about a bunch of people trapped in an elevator if they want. Like, you know, I think it's
Right.
The door's open, like, you know.
Right. And I can agree with you on that to a point, Vinto, because we have WandaVision and Loki, two of the main shows, live action, you know, mind you, that had the opportunity to go insane with their work. WandaVision pushed forward a little bit, and we got a feel of it here and there. Loki pulled back. I have no idea why. And then, like, they had one moment where it was like just an amazing episode, and then they pulled back again. It's just like when we saw the Strange moment. Like, that was great. When we saw episode 8, that was fun. And then they just pull right back. So when you're saying that they're dipping their toe in dipping in the water and testing the waters, like how much did they dip their toes in? Like, did they put their whole foot in there or did they not?
I think they're very much trying to play it safe, to be honest.
And they shouldn't. Like, they have so much, they have so many resources now. They can just, like, they're using up characters to kill. Why don't they just use up characters to like laugh with?
Yeah.
Like, why don't they use characters to just grow the situation even further and expand upon the world and show that it's not just serious, it's wacky.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I agree with you, but I can kind of see from a business point of view why they wouldn't do something like that, you know? I think there's an argument for them to kind of, you know, protect the IP and keep it, you know, pumping out, like, efficient and, you know, like what they know is like ticking the box exercise, like storytelling and stuff, you know, like we need this much action, we need this much romance, we need this much, you know, death and all this sort of stuff, like, but, you know, maybe just going completely off script and just getting wacky, just we're not quite there yet because we haven't given them enough yet. But I think that's definitely in the pipeline. That's like with what they're doing now with this and Multiverse of Madness and another What If season, and then like Secret Invasion where they're going to have like shapeshifters everywhere. Like, you know, they're definitely slowly building us up to the madness. But I think it's very much so they're trying to do it in a way that they're going to like satisfy people like us, but at the same time they really want to be bringing the new crowd in, you know, people that aren't reading comic books, people that aren't watching animated shows in the 90s and stuff like that, like, you know.
Well, then my question is, where the hell did Into the Spider-Verse come from? Who wrote that? Because that was spectacular.
Yeah.
It was funny.
It really
It was interesting.
And
it was sad at times.
I truly believe that, again, that is a product of the exact same thing that I'm talking about. You know, I don't think that they go from nothing to doing a live action Spider-Verse. I think they need to tease, like, give us the taste of it in an animated series or an animated movie. You know, they want to just try and cater for the crowds that are not reading comic books and are not little geeks watching cartoons. You know, they want to get the people that are just normal cinema goers, and I think a movie like Into the Spider-Verse dips the toe in for a lot of people who would just be like, oh, that's cool, that's Spider-Man, and it looks kind of cool, and there's like hip, cool music in it and stuff like that. I'll go see that, and then they realize, holy shit, this world is amazing, and now it's like, give us more. And I think that that movie is probably that one of the best superhero movies ever made across the
One
board.
of the best movies ever made.
Ever made.
Flat
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Like,
I honestly, it
and-
is.
And also, I think it's important to remember there, like, that's Sony. Sony greenlit that. They greenlit the animation studio to take care of that. That's not Disney. And Disney is, like, way, way, way down the rabbit hole, playing it way safer than any other production company.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the new people at the helm, like Bob Chapek. You know, I thought the MCU was a lot better under Paramount when Paramount had this. Ever since Disney's bought out the MCU and Marvel, it's got a lot more formulaic and a lot more structured, and like now they're turning out all this like really structured stuff for you. So I think that playing it safe is a product of Disney, and you know it's kind of why it sucks that they own everything right now, especially when it comes to Marvel, and it's why we should probably be thankful that like at least somebody like Sony has the Spider-Verse, because they can take chances on stuff like that, and then they can also take chances on things like Venom: There Will Be Carnage and completely disappoint. But that's, you know, that's coming up later.
Here's a wild,
but
here's a
it's
wild
safe.
thought. Here's a wild thought just off the back of that. Could you imagine if we get into a place very soon where Sony's verse, like the Sony verse, is actually going to be pumping out better content than the MCU? I think that's very possible soon with what they're talking about with like Spider-Verse and with like Craven and all these people and like Sinister Six and you know the whole. Did you hear about the whole Null thing? There's rumors that they're actually doing symbiote god storyline and stuff like that.
I think conceptually they could be doing it better, right? Where it's more interesting, but the execution so far on their live action stuff over the last decade from Sony has really missed the mark. Like,
Yeah.
really missed the mark.
But now they're partnered with Marvel as well, so you know now they're going to be putting out like Spider-Man style and like level movies, but over at Sony with the help of Feige and stuff. He will be involved, and I wonder, is there a part of Feige that goes, Jesus, I actually have a bit more creative freedom over here in Sony? Do I start like giving out better stuff over here? Because I really see that happening, like an expanded kind of Spider-Verse, like all the Spider-Man characters living in a universe together, Craven, you know, Morbius, all these people, and does a little like mini kind of Sonyverse take off, and like Deadpool jumps in there and all this sort of shit, and like does that actually start taking over? Because I think it's a possibility. I'm not saying, you know, that the MCU is gonna like lose its steam or anything, but I just really think that the Sony stuff is gonna jack up in quality and performance with the partnership now with Marvel.
It's possible, right? Like, and like Kevin Feige, like going over to Sony, never say never, but I would not think that that would be a jump someone wouldn't make, where they have a bigger sandbox to play in the Marvel universe, especially with all the stuff they just got their hands on with the Fantastic Four and the mutants and stuff. As cool as the Spider-Verse is, you know, it really is just the Spider-Verse, and it's like you love it or hate it, or I shouldn't even say that, because you know I'm someone who like really likes the Spider-Verse. I'm not like a deep in love person with the Spider-Verse. I'm not married to it, right? So never say never, but I just don't think that the Spider-Verse has the depth that the MCU has. And I don't know how much input Feige's going to have. They say he has input. No one really knows what goes on behind the scenes. Sony's still going to be Sony. They probably still have, you know, final cut on their movies and stuff, which is Paramount. And like, you know, again, it's just like Venom was a really bad movie. Carnage is a pretty bad movie. The last two Spider-Mans from Sony were like pretty mediocre movies. The only thing they have going for them is Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Well, I
I think it's just like the directors that they are choosing, or what? Like
the first Spider-Man movie was great. Andrew's first movie I thought was great. I only rewatched it there like 2 weeks ago. I thought it was fucking great. Loved it.
I thought they missed a lot. What makes Spider-Man doesn't feel like a member of New York City. He feels like a tourist in New York City, in a weird way.
I don't know. There's so much about that movie that I really like. I love his portrayal of Peter. I love his portrayal of Spidey. I love the suit. I love all the like point of view shooting and, you know, like just like those first person scenes of him like web slinging around New York and stuff. Fantastic. Probably one of my favorite Stan Lee cameos in that movie as well. And just even like I love the storyline with Doc Connors. Like I don't really like him. The Lizard is kind of shit. Like the animation was kind of shit. But I love the character. I love the story. And yeah, I don't know. Like there was just a lot I really liked in that movie. And like I haven't seen it in years. And I watched it there a couple of weeks ago. It just went up on Netflix here in Ireland. Like, and it's fucking great. Like I just really like it. Like they've put up one of Toby's movies. They put up the two Andrew movies, and they have both of Tom's movies on Netflix here. So it's like all three Spider-Man living on the homepage right beside each other, and I'm just thinking to myself, I wonder why they're doing this now, eh? They're getting us ready for something. They know exactly what they're doing. Guys, I'm gonna step away for 1 minute. You guys keep talking. When I get back, I want to hear Venom. I gotta hear what Drunky has to say about Venom. It sounds juicy. You guys keep talking. I'll be back in 1 minute.
Yep. So,
go ahead, Kyle.
No, you.
Oh, you were gonna say something.
No, you.
Wait, I haven't heard you talk in a while. I want you to talk.
No, you.
Okay, fine. So when it comes to not Tobey Maguire's, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I think what Tom Holland's Spider-Man is missing is more stress. Because as we see in the Andrew Garfield situation, you know, he doesn't know anything about his parents. He's very like upset about that. He lost Ben. He's actually showing moments of like sadness, regret, depression, and what's the word? Narcissism or neuroticism? I forgot what it's called. Narcissism. Like you actually see that. Andrew Garfield portrayed him very well. Like with Tom Holland's,
it was more out of existence. I mean, I think you need to slow your roll here. Saying someone doesn't have stress, he got snapped out of existence.
He didn't feel so good. That's all he said.
Imagine so you had a tummy ache that made you disappear for 5 years.
Yeah, I didn't really shed a tear though. Like it wasn't really that sad. You know,
there's something about Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I can't put my finger on it, but ever since his latest movie or whatever. It just feels like he is a parody of himself. Like he is playing a parody of Peter Parker in the universe. I don't know what it is about his delivery of this character, but like the more it sits on me, the more I just start disliking the way he plays Peter Parker. I don't know what it is.
Do you think it comes off almost as cocky?
Yeah, probably a little cocky, a little disingenuous. I think it might just be like an acting talent level where he just doesn't feel like he's embodying the role. Where in the first movie, I kind of felt like he did, and I enjoyed it. Just as time goes on, it's less and less. I'm just like, all right.
Toby really delivered well on that, like hero being scared, not knowing what to do, delivering like having powers. What do I do with it? He like goes to a street fight first. Like he delivered the whole idea of like, I'm just this kid that got powers. Whereas like I kind of get that same vibe where Tom Holland is like, he had that one movie where it's like, oh, I got powers, and then now everything since then's been like cocky almost. Like, yeah, I got powers. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he deserves to be cocky. He did go to space with Tony Stark. That's pretty cool.
I feel like part of the disingenuous feelings stem from the fact that a lot of his responses are these almost like afraid to respond properly kind of moments, or those moments of like, you know, still kind of learning. And I get it, like he is learning, but I mean, he's his own character. He can make his own decisions. And in some cases, like some of the jokes don't feel funny either. A lot of them, you know, in regards to speaking it to other heroes, it's like, hey, I wasn't supposed to, so what should I call it? Like it doesn't feel comfortable to have him speaking to anybody. Which is really weird. Like he should still have some form of confidence when speaking to the heroes, but when he's Peter Parker, he is a narcissistic, you know, depressed at times, you know, upset when he thinks about Ben or Gwen Stacy, worried about, you know, MJ, worried about Aunt May. And that's why Toby's did well, and that's why Andrew's did did incredibly well.
I agree. I was just talking about how Tom Holland Spider-Man is just wearing on me. Just like I don't know what it is.
There's so much of the second Andrew movie that's just really bad, but there's some seriously good scenes in there as well. Like I absolutely love the scene when Gwen dies. I forgot how shocking it was. I'd only seen the movie like once. Jesus, bro. Like my girlfriend has never seen that movie, and I was watching it by myself, and she was walking by the TV at like just after that point. Like, I look shook on the couch, like, and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was just like, "Oh, I just watched this scene in the movie," and like, she's like, "I've never seen this one," and I was like, I just watched this scene, and I was like, "Look, you're never gonna watch it." Like, Gwen Stacy dies, and it's just shocking. And she was like, "Go back and show me," like, and it's just when her head hits the ground, oh, it's just, oh man, it hits you so hard, like it's crazy, it's crazy.
Doesn't hit you as hard as her head hit the ground though.
It does for me, bro. Like I was shook when I watching that again. Like, and then like amazing acting from Andrew. Like he's just like looks physically distraught and just destroyed that she's gone, you know. And he just can't accept the fact that she's dead. And he's like, you know, oh, like why aren't you like, you know, wake up and all? You all right? Why aren't you breathing and all? You're like, oh my god, bro, she's dead. Like it's just it's so good, dude, so good. And I just feel I feel so sorry for that Peter Parker, like, because he's just been through so much shit. Like it's just
and that's the Parker that we know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's great. And I felt so bad for Andrew that, you know, what happened with him happened. But at the same time, now I'm thinking, like, you know, it's great that he's getting a chance to kind of come back and revive the character. But I'm thinking I'm gonna be really pissed. Like, I know there's 3 different endings to this movie in case it leaks and they can change it. But if one of them is that Andrew dies, I'm gonna be so pissed, because it's like you take the fucking character away, like someone who he's worshipped since he was like 3 years old, and if you give it back to him for like an hour and then take it away again, it's just horrendous. I think.
I want them all to hug it out at the end.
I want them all
say
to
that they're sorry and forgive each other.
I want them all to live, and then I want them all to go into Doctor Strange 2 and have even more fun. And then I want them to survive that movie as well. And maybe except for, I think Toby dies in that movie, because it's a Sam Raimi movie. And then I think the other 2 go into the Spider-Verse, and they have adventures together. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, real quick, though, when is Spider-Verse 2 supposed to happen? I could have sworn it was this year.
It's next,
or is it next year?
It is next year, yeah. That's going to be great.
Okay. I'm hoping.
Okay. Let's do it, guys. What If is finished. We're going into Venom 2. We're going into Venom 2. I can't wait. Drunky, give us... Don't hold back, bro. Get those gloves on. Right. Tighten the laces.
I just want everyone to like set the premise. I rushed out to see this film today. I rearranged my whole day to try and fit this thing in, because I'm like, hey, man, got to watch for the cast.
Dedication.
What an absolute fucking waste of my time. What a dumpster of a fucking movie. I can't believe this thing was an hour and 30 minutes, and I still felt like it was an hour too long. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. How do you make movies like this? Who's editing these movies? Who's doing this stuff? This is like okay. If you go back and watch Rise of the Resistance, and the third Star Wars film in this prequel or sequel series, and you're like, this thing moves like this, and you feel like a little disoriented because of it. Yeah. It's that the entire fucking time, and there's no story for you to care about. Literally, Venom and Tom Hardy's character, whatever his dumb name is, they sit there and do nothing for the entirety of this movie until the last 30 minutes. Why are they even in this movie? Why is it called Venom and It should be Carnage and Venom. It's who is this movie for, dude? Who is it for? I don't understand who made this movie and decided, hey, you know, what's Venom going to be like during this movie and after? Are they going to do anything? No. Are they going to have any subplots? No. They're just going to show up and fight Carnage, which was good. But they literally don't have any character in this entire movie. I don't know why Woody Harrelson's doing anything. I don't know why Tom Hardy's doing anything. I don't know why the girlfriend is even in this movie. They take a kind of cool character from the first one and just make her a damsel in distress in this movie. Like, what the hell were they doing there? I can't stand this movie. It is literally the worst movie I've seen in the past decade. It is terrible.
Wow. That's amazing.
2 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, they literally rehashed everything from the first movie, took out some of the things that would have been positive for it, and then just like threw in a love story out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And like that was the most infuriating part of it. Was I get that the 2 team up in the comics, but they did not need to be together because that's what creates the problem,
Yeah.
which is what they wanted in the plot, which was so annoying because it's like Carnage and when, oh my god, when Venom and Eddie were like, or when Eddie told Venom they're not symbiotic, like they're not in sync. Those two literally are driven together because they want to kill.
Yeah.
They have no regard
Yeah,
for
like,
anybody else
They
Yeah,
destroy Cletus's character for sure.
entirely. And it's literally the Joker in the sense. Like it should have been like if they were going to do this type of love story, it should have been Joker style, where he didn't care. He wouldn't care if Carnage was like, get the hell out of the way, and knocked her out and was like, I can do this myself. You know, that would have been much better. But like, I get it. Like he's getting insulted by the fact that Shriek is using her abilities, but because of the fact that there was a love story, we feel something for Cletus. Fuck Cletus.
Oh,
He's a serial
Fuck that
killer.
shit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that's crazy.
Excuse,
They
like,
have-
sorry for the excessive language, but that
no.
Never
not-
apologize for that.
No,
sir.
and that's one of the things that like you were saying that always like that was one of the characteristics of Carnage is the fact that Cletus Cassidy fully willingly from day one accepted the symbiote into his system and said, yeah, let's do it. Like we've seen the trope in
Yeah.
other cartoons and shows where someone accepts the evil bargain because they want the power to do evil deeds, and that's what he is. There's no second thought for Cletus Cassidy here, and for them to like write that into this and like
it's not we are Carnage. It's I am Carnage because
They are
Cletus
one.
gave himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And that's the story how I know it. You know, Dormammu gives the symbiote to Cletus, and he has to like the symbiote has to accept him, so he has to give himself over. That's the story that I know. So
That's
to be
not,
honest-
that's not in this though.
yeah, no.
Like, I don't even really understand how he becomes Carnage or what it even means. Like literally, he bites Tom Hardy's character, right?
Yeah.
And like because he draws his blood, he's like, I'm going crazy, and now I'm like, I got like a symbiote in me. And then you see him turn red, and Venom's like, oh, he's red, we can't win this. It's like, why? Like none of that is explained. Why he's a stronger symbiote? Why he's crazier? Why Venom's a little afraid? None of that's really explained. They're just like, oh, he's red. Uh-oh, watch
Right.
out.
Yeah.
Like
He could have
And
said
then the way they set
that's an
up-
offspring.
Yeah, because it
one thing we didn't
is.
mention is the way they set up Toxin is so fucking stupid.
Oh my
too.
God.
His eyes just start to glow. Like good one.
The only thing I would say is a positive though, besides that negative, is the fact that they have Toxin as a teaser, because they could have just easily been like, all right, he's Cletus and Carnage are dead, but it does happen in the comics. Like Cletus and Carnage do die.
They got the worst Wahlberg brother to do it though.
is that a Wahlberg?
Pretty sure that's the
Yeah,
older Wahlberg.
I believe that is a
brother.
Wahlberg.
Yeah,
I thought that was
Donnie, is
a-
it?
Donnie. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Oh man,
That's hilarious.
dude, it was just
I thought it was going to be good, like the way like Carnage is the offspring of Venom, so I thought it was quite intelligent that
Oh, it's not actually. That's
he bites
Stephen
him.
Graham.
So
Sorry.
It really?
Yeah, a guy named Stephen Graham.
so
yeah,
that
he's the guy that
he
played.
looks so much-
He's from Boardwalk Empire. He played Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire for Greenwood.
You're right. He does look like Donnie Wahlberg.
Oh, I know who you're
Very
thinking
much
of.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Like, oh, I thought that was Donnie Wahlberg.
I thought the entire time I watched that movie it was a Wahlberg.
Wow, he actually does kind of look like a Wahlberg. And it's the way, I think it's the way they did his hair and stuff. But he was
All
in.
the Asians in this film got their eyesight. It wasn't a Wahlberg.
Yeah,
That
dude,
was the real importance of the movie. Is that Donnie Wahlberg?
yeah. So like I don't know. I kind of had some high hopes for it because I thought it was an interesting spin on how Cletus got the power instead of I wasn't expecting them to like introduce Dormammu or anything like to the series. So I was like it kind of makes sense that he ingests some of his blood and gets like infected by him, and it's like an offspring story. That kind of makes sense, but.
But having Dormammu makes the post credit scene hit harder,
Yeah, true.
and it ties
Yeah.
it into it even more.
Right.
Like
They
they
and,
should have
not-
had Dormammu.
and even with that, it's like conceptually it works, right? Having Venom, be the reason, biting him or whatever, he gets the Venom symbiote and whatever it is. Like it makes sense. It's just like they don't really explain it. They don't take time to like really show you. Oh yeah, that's his offspring. It's just like there's one line about it, Like
Yeah.
I
one
ain't never
line.
tasted blood
and
like that
that's it.
before.
Right,
like-
and then he's like, Venom's like, oh, I'm scared of him, which I'm surprised I could hear, because I don't know who the hell was doing the voice work for Venom or who was in charge of editing it. I could not understand Venom for like a third of this movie. There's a lot of really long sentences from Venom. It's not just like little one-off reactions anymore.
Yeah.
And I could not understand what he was saying a lot of the time. I was like, what was that?
Need
What did you just say?
subtitles.
Like,
yeah.
Well, that was one of the bigger problems, is that in the first Venom's voice was much better than the second one. The first one was really deep. It was menacing. It was like troublesome. The second one is literally just there to make you laugh.
Why the fuck
And
did
it
they
didn't-
change it? Why
I
did
don't
they
know,
change
like, because if you listen to it, like if you listen to the first one, it's like Eddie, like it's
Yeah.
really deep.
Yeah.
And then this was like, you say eat it, I say it. Like it's almost like Louis Armstrong style mixed in with like low raspiness, like
Yeah.
extra low raspiness.
I hear
And
there's
honestly-
a scene with like a nightclub or something. It sounds cheesy as hell. He's got like glow sticks and shit on. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was a joke. I saw like pictures of it and I was like, is this like, did someone make this? I was like, is this a joke? That's actually a scene in the film. I'm like, oh no, bro.
It's
It
because
is a
in the
joke
comics
of
they
the
did
movie.
separate.
Yeah.
Like they did separate at a time, and that's part of the Carnage startup, is that they separated. Eddie's in jail with Cletus in the same cell as Cletus.
mm-hmm.
And
Would've worked better.
and when he comes to save Eddie, part of the symbiote snatches off and gets and ties to Cletus,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Carnage. That's in the original comics.
Yeah.
In the TV show, it would have still worked to have Dormammu in there, like the whole bite situation that still could have been in there, but it didn't have to be like, oh, I took Carnage from there. It could have been a bite, and then immediately you see Dormammu, and then it's like, and then that would have blown your mind from the start. It's like, oh geez, like they're adding stuff from the Marvel universe,
Yeah.
like the MCU, into the Sonyverse because of their partnership, and then like you get your, you see it later on at the after credits, like what more ties in, like, and everything just starts to fulminate better. But this was just like, I get it. Like he took a bit of his blood. We don't know how much Venom and Eddie have actually like assimilated, because they get in pretty deep. Like they're pretty connected to one another, and that's why they can't really live without each other. And that was the whole point. That was another point of the movie that kind of like, but it just didn't feel right. It was.
I don't think it feels right, and I'm not the biggest Venom person in the world, and I love the character. I just haven't read him a lot, right? So I don't know how his character is of Eddie Brock is in the comic books. But one of the biggest problems I see in this film, it stems back to the first one, where they don't set him up as being a real journalist well enough. He's a reactionary journalist. He's like, here we are to expose this stuff. But what they really needed to do was to set him up that his like investigative journalism really starts to solve the problem, and then Venom's there when like shit hits the fan. So when they come to this one and they're like, oh yeah, Eddie Brock is the reason that he's in jail, you're like, all right, like why? Like he's like, oh, he uncovered this. Like, really? Did he? There's supposed to be the connection between Eddie Brock and Cletus, and you just don't feel it. I don't know if it's a lack of chemistry, but you just don't feel like there's a history between those two characters. And so like I really don't care about the setup for the movie in the first place. And then how convenient is it in the plot that now Venom can just memorize stuff with photographic memory and take over Eddie and just kind of redraw everything. Like, this is how it was on the walls. Now you can solve all the stuff. Like,
Sounds outrageous, bro.
like what?
It's
they
just.
also hack stuff and
Oh, for fuck's sake. Bro,
Oh, yeah.
I'm so annoyed.
Forgot about that.
Part
I'm
just
so
plugs into,
annoyed.
like a fucking laptop and
He
solves.
Jackson.
Oh, bro, like the Matrix, dude.
God.
I'm so annoyed.
Yes.
What annoys me so much is that I know, like, I have to go see this film, but now I just know that it's awful, and
That's
I'm just gonna like probably enjoy my food more than the film, like,
Have
Have 2 strong drinks.
Holy moly, the
I have to
dialogue
drive
for
there.
Siren is terrible. Like, literally terrible dialogue. I
Yeah.
can't wait to rewatch this thing at home so I can kind of really rewind it and see. She says some of the dumbest things I've ever seen anyone say on screen. And God bless the writers. I'm glad you're working. I'm glad you got work. You're paying the bills. Everyone's got to work. But like, holy fuck! After seeing this film, I should have took a swing at Hollywood. I should have taken a swing and like, I can write that. I can write that piece of.
I
shit.
genuinely think if some of the big boys in like Sony and Marvel actually just listen to this fucking podcast, I think we come up with some better ideas than half the shit that they're trying to pump out lately. Like, it's crazy. Let's talk about the after credit scene, because this is something I know a bit about and I can actually be involved in the conversation as well. What did you guys think of the after credit scene? I think it's like been the only selling point of the entire movie. Like,
all right, so like just to kind of set it up, right? You get to the mid-credit scene, and Eddie Brock is sitting in a hotel room in like some, third world country, a lot of neon lights and stuff around you. Venom's talking to him about all the stuff that like over the 800 billion light years.
Is he on the run?
All the stuff they've seen. He's not on the run, but he's kind of in hiding. Think kind of like the Hulk.
Yeah.
He mentioned earlier in the movie that he wanted to have wind in his hair and his sand and toes in his sand.
He wanted to take a break.
They're paying homage to that.
Okay.
He's
okay,
on
okay.
holiday.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you're just not there. And so, he's like, "Do you want me to show you what I can do?" And Eddie Brock's like, or what I know. And Eddie Brock's like, "Yeah, let me see this." And then all of a sudden, you hear something happens, like this big thum. You see yellow light outside the room, and he's like, "What the hell's going on? Did you do this?" And Venom's like, "I didn't do this. I don't know what this is." And on the TV, it changes. It goes from like this, beautiful Mexican or soap opera to the scene of Jay Jameson from Spider-Man saying, Spider-Man is Peter Parker. That scene that that amazing clip, and that's the end credits scene.
Yeah.
Just
so
to set the stage.
What I heard about it was so apparently they're saying that the shit going on outside the window is actually Doctor Strange and Peter doing the spell. And that's what we're seeing. So you're seeing the effects of that actually happening, and that's them getting pulled into the MCU. And I think it's quite interesting because apparently this is kind of what I've heard of breakdowns of it and stuff. So when he jumps up and he sees Peter Parker, it's like the symbiote knows who Peter Parker is. It's like he kind of knows him already. And what a lot of the kind of theories are there is that when he's speaking about, he says he has all these memories and like information from thousands of years that he wants to kind of
the hive mind.
Yeah, the hive mind. Yeah, so like they're saying like the hive mind could potentially have multiversal information. So this Venom could actually know what happened in the Raimi universe, for example, and that's how he's met Spider-Man already. Which sounds very interesting to me. And then it kind of makes a little bit of sense when you think about it as to how this version of Venom wouldn't know a Spider-Man, technically. Eddie Brock has never met a Spider-Man, but at the same time, this Venom kind of replicates some of Spider-Man's abilities in a way without him ever actually meeting a Spider-Man, if that makes sense. So, one of the main kind of problems I've always had with Venom is the fact that there's no connection to Spider-Man at all, and that's just ridiculous for a Venom story, because Venom, the symbiote attaches to Spider-Man. Yeah, he web swings. He sticks he's a stronger Spider-Man. He has all of the abilities of Spider-Man. He can cloak the spider sense and everything. Like so, always what annoyed me and always what puts the bad taste in my mouth with these movies, these Venom movies, is the fact that there's no link to Spider-Man. And I think if they can actually turn around now and say that there actually is a link through the multiverse, it kind of maybe might make future projects shine a little brighter. But I will not be holding my breath on this movie, like, because I think, from what you guys have said, I'm gonna fucking hate it. Like,
it's horrible.
Yeah.
I would say them connecting it. The end credit scene was really, really cool. Shout out to the people talking through it behind me. You guys are awesome. Love you guys.
Legend.
I just like it's cool. I am excited to see Venom and Spider-Man on the screen together again. It's always a good time. But like, is this the Venom I want to see in the MCU? I think the MCU could have done a better job with their own Venom. I think Tom Hardy's a really fine actor in this one. I actually think he's the only good part about this movie is his acting and his scenes where he's dealing with Venom who isn't there, right? So he's just like doing the scenes by himself, right? But again, it's just like the character of Brock isn't that great of a character. This Venom isn't that great of a Venom, in my opinion. And so like it's like we're bringing these two to the MCU. Like, why couldn't the Spider-Man 3 just been their own Venom coming and like us doing our own Venom story? It's just
I would prefer that so much. And I think what I would love to happen, I think we meet a 616 version. I've said this already. We meet a 616 version of Eddie Brock, who will be the real Eddie Brock, and he somehow ends up meeting Venom and maybe getting a bit of a symbiote, like, infect him.
Yeah.
And then we get, or maybe a bit of I think what would make maybe more sense is that, first of all, the symbiote, the Tom Hardy version, infects Tom Holland. And then that version infects the 616 Eddie Brock, and then you're telling the story properly the way it should be told.
Okay.
I just can't imagine Tom Hardy and Tom Holland having crazy amounts of chemistry on screen. I don't know. It just seems like an awkward duo. So I think what you're saying there works for me if they introduce, like you said, 616 Eddie Brock instead of us just taking this other Eddie Brock.
I think in real life, Tom Hardy's been kind of gunning for this for a long time. Like, he's wanted this for a long time. He seems like a genuine fan. He kind of strikes me like a bit of a Tom Hiddleston. Like, he's very involved in the projects, very like kind of loyal to the character and stuff. And like,
look what they did to Loki.
Exactly. Well, I think that does. Fair enough. But I think at least the actors are into it, and I know Tom Hardy's been putting up like, teasers and stuff of like him eating Spider-Man and stuff like that. Like, and it's fun, and I think he would do a good job. But I don't think he should be the MCU Venom.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Unless unless maybe it's like, because I know in the comic books, Venom the symbiote Venom attaches itself to Peter Parker during Secret Wars. That was when the symbiote first made connection with Peter Parker, and that's when the black suit first arrived. So I would be interested to see if we do a few bits with Tom Hardy's Venom. Then when he kind of fucks off back to the Sonyverse, Tom Holland goes with them for a while, does a couple of Spider-Verse movies or whatever, and then when it comes to Secret Wars, Tom Holland goes back to MCU, but the Venom symbiote goes with him. And then during Secret Wars, you've got a symbiote version of Peter Parker. And then after that, comes back to Earth, probably takes Miles Morales with him. And then the symbiote comes with him and then attaches to Eddie Brock. And then it's like, oh my God, another Venom. I met one of these before in a different universe and blah, blah, blah. But it's a better one. And it's one that's more like Peter. He's more of a Spider-Man. Because then you can bring in the whole cloaking of the spider sense and the webbing and all this sort of shit. Because like Venom's webbing is way stronger than Peter's and stuff. So there's all those obstacles.
Venom they have acting kind of like a Hulk almost, like just a brute instead of anything close to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I am just really extremely annoyed because these two movies haven't been seen by my girlfriend, and now Venom is required viewing for the MCU, so I'm gonna have to sit through both of these movies, Venom and Let There Be Carnage, again, which I just cannot wait to do. Let me tell you, time well spent.
I'm kind of surprised as well. Like, I thought like Andy Serkis would have done a really good job, and it seems like they've kind of just, this movie's a failure, like by the sounds of it. Except for the end credit scene, and now I understand why they leaked the end credit scene, because it's like shit we need to, like,
Yeah.
And I would say this, a lot of the scenes, because it's Tom Hardy and people working with like a 3D model or something like there, it's like up his alley, right? Like, he does direct them very well in those scenes.
Yeah.
I thought Tom Hardy's scenes where he's like in his kitchen by himself with Venom, shit, the things are going on, like, he does a fantastic job there, and I think it's well directed. I don't know if he really had say on the edit of this thing. There's a lot of really weird edits and fades in this movie, and that's kind of indicative of the studio coming in at the very end and being like, we gotta cut this down, we gotta cut this, we gotta cut that, and just kind of like mashing things together and shortening them up. So I don't know how much of influence he has as a director. He's definitely not like a Russo brother level where he gets a lot of say in what goes on in the editing and stuff. So who knows? But the spectacles of, like we were talking about, and especially the fight scenes, like the fight scene between Carnage and Venom was like really well done. Like, that was really fun to see. It's probably the best audio I think I've ever experienced in a movie theater. Those fight scenes were crisp. They hit you. And that alone is worth the price of admission. It's just, if I would have walked in and had just seen them start fighting right away, which apparently is what the writers started with too, we'd been good. Like, it really feels like they wrote that fight scene and they're like, all right, now how do we get here?
How do we
get
there?
What are we gonna do?
Exactly.
Because anyone got any ideas? No? All right, fuck it. Let's just dick around for a little bit.
They're like, why are we fighting here? Because there's a bell in the church.
Oh my yeah.
Yeah, I heard the bell in the church, which was like kind of a little nod to Sam Raimi's version or whatever. Or like that's kind of in the animated series as well. That's how Peter gets the suit off originally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I'll say the criticism I hear a lot is people saying Carnage's voice isn't good enough, and I will agree with that. He doesn't come off as like psychotic or like, crazy. He just seems kind of like a slightly higher pitched Venom. You know, like
Yep. It wasn't like it was good enough to the point it was good enough where I was like, okay, at least they didn't make it deep, but it was terrible enough to make me think like this isn't like, just like Drunky said, it's not a psychotic sounding symbiote that wants to just destroy and kill.
With strange psychopath vibe.
Oh, that would have been cool.
yeah.
Honey, I'm home.
I heard someone saying they should like taken 10 different versions of the voice, like for the lines, and like just layered them on top of each other, like a real crazy feeling, which I think would have worked like way better.
Yeah.
Like that'd been cool.
Yeah, it's like the animated show. We talked about this as well. Like the voice of Carnage in the animated series was so like crazy and like vivid in that cartoon that like it used to scare the shit out of me as a child, like, and like I'm sitting there like terrified of a fucking cartoon, like, so like that it really worked, like, so yeah, like I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm hoping that I'm going to see it next week, because it's actually out here on the 15th, which is next Friday, so I probably won't have seen it before the next week's podcast, so it'll probably be the week after, but I'll talk to you guys probably offline about it, like, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to it after that. I gotta say, Drunky, as well, your initial reaction, I'm gonna clip that out. That was fucking amazing, dude. that is this week's short for sure. Like, that is so good.
It's fantastic. Like,
yeah.
Drunky, can you, like, how did you feel when you just realized that Carnage was literally letting Cletus do whatever he wanted and not the other way around?
I just
like, it was just so weird.
It made no sense. Like, and it's just like struck her like I didn't feel like either one of the characters had like a strong motive, right? So like, even though he's letting them lead him around, I'm like, to what end? Like, what are we doing here?
So we can get hitched.
Yeah, like, oh my god, it's so bad. The whole girlfriend gimmick. They start in the past and they go to the forward a little bit, and you're just like, what? Like, why? Why is any of this written this way? Why is it being told like this? It makes no sense. And yeah, it's like you're saying, like Venom has more agency over Eddie Brock than Carnage has agency over Cletus, which makes no sense whatsoever. Like, until like the very end, where like then Carnage starts to take control and they do some stuff where like Cletus is trying to stop him and say no, and he can't. But they should have built that. They should have built on that idea more. There probably should have been more than one fight scene between Venom and Carnage. There probably should have been like two fight scenes where it's like Venom gets his ass handed to him and then comes back and wins later on,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It was the same thing that we felt when we were watching Shang-Chi, and how we needed one more fight between Wenwu and Shang-Chi to get that final fight feel.
Yeah.
And like, in regards to the love story, like I get that you have to fill the plot, kind of like all the feelings of a natural plot.
Yeah.
But it's like for a movie like this, there's no need anymore.
I'm tired of that, though. I disagree. I'm the romance for the sake of romance. We have a funny person, so we want them to say funny lines every time they're on screen type. Like, I'm tired of, like, quit trying to fill the mold. Break the mold, because those are the things that are iconic and that change the industry going forward forever. Like, stuff like that, like think about like, I always think of like how people gave George Lucas a lot of shit for doing credits at the beginning of Star Wars, because that was never done back then. And then like little things like that, like break the mold, be different. Like romance for the sake of romance and stuff like that. I'm just getting tired of that stuff.
Well, like me and Kyle are watching Titans and reviewing it on a weekly basis, and like the best episodes of the season are the ones where they don't do the kind of fucking romance kind of teeny bopper shit. It's like when they just have kind of real episodes are the best ones, like. And then when they go back to kind of just like creating relationships on teams for no fucking reason other than just to fill storyline. It's just kind of like, we've seen it all before. Like, you know, we know they're all beautiful people. They're probably riding in the background. Like, we don't need to see it. Like, you know, it's just get on with the story. It's a superhero show. It's a superhero movie. Let's see some fucking action. Let's see some deaths, you know?
I'm going to hurt your feelings here, Finto and Drunky, but let's just flash back a little bit to when Rey and Kylo kissed.
Yeah, that was, bro, that was one of the most stupid, that was one of the most stupid things I've ever seen. Oh my god, bro. It's like this dude, like, and I know, like, girls like the bad boys and all this shit, but, like, this guy has been tormenting her for years, and she turns around and just likes him out of nowhere. Like, I'm just like, I couldn't believe it. Like, and my girlfriend's like, oh yeah, that's great. I'm like, what do you mean it's great? What's great about that? And she's like, oh no, it's just like, you know, like the redemption story for him and stuff. I'm just like, this is bullshit. I'm sorry. Like, you know, this guy is tormenting the galaxy. You know, he's like the big bad, like, of the galaxy. It's like, I don't care if he redeems himself at the last second. Like, you don't wear face with him. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, it would have worked if she would have became a Sith. That would have been like she turned to the dark side.
That would have been cool.
Like, and then he's like kissing her, like, wait, I'm actually a good person. Now we're fucked up. We flipped there.
Oh yeah, yeah, that would have been nice. Yeah, yeah, but like
kind of to the end in fucking Venom, Let There Be Carnage. The whole first act of the movie is almost like a goddamn rom-com. Like literally, like Eddie Brock gets broken up with again, right? Where like he finds out that his ex is gonna get married. They go to the same restaurant from the first one, and it's like heartbroken. And then like his, you know, his best girlfriend Venom is up in there taking care of him, you know, cooking him dinner, and it's just or breakfast. It's hilarious. Like it's a rom-com, man. Like I don't know what the hell is going on. It is
so true, dude. That's so accurate.
Like I just didn't understand the script. I didn't understand like their idea behind it, where they wanted to go.
I will say the Drunky best part of the movie, and I know I'm pretty sure you and Alex will agree, is when Mrs. Cho has Venom.
Yeah, that's weird. Like,
no, it was silly.
So good.
She gets Venom.
Line, yeah, Eddie loses Venom for a little bit, and then like Eddie's girlfriend's looking for Venom, and she goes to Mr. Cho's shop, and it's like she figures out that Venom's in her.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how they do it. Like there are some kind of funny lines of this and like some funny ideas. Like really, at the very end, Eddie Brock saying goodbye to his girlfriend, and then Venom says goodbye to Dan, the husband. And that line fucking got me, bro. He's like, "Bye, Dan."
He's like, "You're actually kind of okay."
And then I thought they get one fuck per PG-13 movie. It was used very well. I thought, you know, it's pretty funny that it's when he goes to kill Cletus or whatever. He's like, fuck this guy, and just
Epic, dude. That sounds great.
Yeah,
that was a great use of the fuck.
Yeah.
I saw one of the funniest fucking Reddit threads before, like where they were like, you know, doing the whole like PG-13 thing, and they were like, you know, Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith is, and I've talked about this on my stream before, like Revenge of the Sith could have used the word fuck once. Where would you have put it in the movie? And some of the answers like are just so good.
They're so good.
So good. Like, you know, like when Anakin chops off Dooku's head and it's like, Palpatine, fucking do it. You know, like something like that. Or like, you know, fuck you, Anakin, I have the high ground. Like Obi-Wan. There's just so many. Yeah, fucking younglings.
He was fucking younglings.
Episode 2, you got Hayden Christensen going, man, fuck this sand.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny.
You underestimate my fucking power.
That is so. There's literally you could play that game for an hour. Like there's so many great lines.
I feel like
I
Yoda
am the fucking Senate. You know,
I feel like Yoda should get the fuck every movie. That should be the stint though. Yoda gets the fuck.
That'd be nice. I think it was actually only episode 3 that was PG-13. The rest of them were a younger age, so they wouldn't have had a fuck. I think it was only for that movie because they rated that one higher because of all of the violence and, you know, Vader getting decapitated and everything. You know, it had to have a slightly older age.
Samuel L. Jackson never got a fucking, like, even when he goes out the window, like, we didn't hear a fuck.
Yeah. Do you know his lightsaber hilt has bad motherfucker etched into the side of it? What a legend, bro. What a legend.
He is.
I was listening to him on Graham Norton there only recently, and he was saying that, like, he was asked about the whole like purple lightsaber thing. He'd kind of just thrown it out there to George, and George was like, "Oh yeah, I'll try and make it work and write it into the storyline." And he's like, "Why did you want the purple lightsaber?" And he's like, "Well, in the second movie, there's a scene in a Coliseum, and there's like hundreds of Jedi." And he's like, "I just wanted my purple lightsaber so I could just point to people and go, there I am over there." That was like the only reason he wanted it. So good. He's like, "I didn't want a green one." He's like, "There was like 50 green ones in that scene." Like, he's like, "I wanted a purple one so I could just always know where I was on the screen when I was watching it." What a fucking legend, bro. What a legend.
Yeah, I mean, so well, going back to the Let There Be Carnage situation, though, the whole like talking again about the love story thing. It didn't have to be a love story. It could have been a family thing. In the comics, like they break out together and they form a family, but they don't necessarily fall in love. They just form a family. They understand that each other has like a motive and that they want to they have the same kind of ambition and they want us to watch the world burn. So that would have been more fitting if they knew each other at the orphanage and then, they break streak out. Let's form a family. Let's go. And there's no holding Cletus and Carnage back anymore at all. This, and regarding the love interest for Eddie, like Anne, they had like I had to like kind of step aside and let them do that because in the comics it's much darker because Anne is no longer alive. Like she is filled with remorse for what she did regarding like taking the symbiote. She is the first She-Venom, but she does some crazy stuff that wasn't like, that was intentional because Eddie tells her when you have the suit embodies like what you desire. And she ends up killing people in the comics and she's filled with so much remorse that she pretty much offs herself.
Wow.
Yeah. So like that would have been crazy dark, but like it, in terms of what we have here, I think they're trying to lighten it up a little. Like,
I've gotten into some crazy stories with Venom though, where they have like they talk about this stuff called a codex, where like they pretty much the hive mind keeps a photographic like memory of every person that's ever had the symbiote or any symbiote ever. So like they even like they're trying to figure out how to resurrect people from their codex. So like
I nearly booted you off the call there for saying symbiote.
Listen, I said it potato. Said it the wrong.
No, sir. It's not potato.
I corrected myself. Listen,
I know.
Let's call the whole thing off.
Yeah. Sorry. This podcast is over. Thanks for listening, guys.
Listen, at least I'm not gonna say midichlorian wrong. All right.
True. God bless the midichlorians.
Never seen levels this high. Crazy. This is really a side note. I wanted to mention this at the beginning, and you guys were talking about lightsabers. I saw this recent thing where they were talking about like these Siths have these devices that they can put into their lightsaber into to like alternate the way. This one chick had like an umbrella lightsaber. And I was watching it. I don't know if it's in.
That was it. That was in Visions. It was in Visions.
Yeah, I was about to ask if it was in that.
Oh,
yeah.
were you watching our Visions review on the YouTube channel, Kyle?
See, I can't watch it because I haven't finished the Visions yet. So,
well, that umbrella one is in the first episode. That's in.
I haven't watched any of it yet.
There you go.
So, Kyle, what you're saying, Kyle, is once you're finished watching the show, you're gonna watch us on Marvelous Chats and watch Finto and Drunky talk about it.
Hell yeah, I've watched their intro already, and then as soon as they got to like talking about the first episode, I stopped because I didn't want to spoiler it. Because I really do want to do like a sit and binge of it.
I think you should, bro. I think it's definitely worth your time.
Yeah, I saw the clip of that little umbrella thing today, and like that whole concept of how they can alternate their lightsaber and stuff. I'm super excited to.
It's a wild concept, and the fact that they can make like, because there's another episode in the series where they've got some like blades that are like bending. They're nearly like ropes and stuff, and it just got very kind of crazy around the middle of the show. But it's very kind of experimentation and like expression through art. So it's it's definitely right. Like so they're different lengths. Like some of them are only like 10 minutes long. Some of them are nearly 20.
Some of them are like 10 minutes. Oh, damn.
Yeah, some of them are
I
very
think like
short.
the whole series is like around 3 hours.
It's about 2:45 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an easy one to kind of sit through. Like I did most of it during my working day. You know, I had episodes on while I was working and stuff, like, you know. So it's very easy to follow.
Was it comfortable?
Yeah, it was great, man. I loved it. Really loved it. I think you'd even like. I know you're probably not a massive Star Wars fan, Alex, but definitely check it out. It's really good. And like, you don't need to be a sweaty and know all the movie story. Like, it's not connected to the movies at all. There's one episode that has a couple of characters from the movie universe, but that's it. Like, the rest of them are just solo projects, and you don't need to know any history of anything. Complete one shots. It's great.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's good. It's good. So Venom is not good. Is what we're saying. Do you want me to talk about a few rumors I heard this week?
Let's go.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, you want to start off with the
Agatha
bigger
show.
news that's not a rumor? Yeah, the Agatha show. That's the actual news story.
That's an actual news story, yeah. So what do we think? I was going to bring it up earlier when we were talking about magic in the MCU, but something happened and I didn't want to interrupt somebody and we kind of left it. But yeah, what do we think? Like, I know we're not the biggest fans of WandaVision as a series, but I suppose she's a great actress and the character's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see if they do it in modern times or if they do it as like a flashback to Salem or something.
They
I
have
don't know.
to. That's what I was thinking. They have to do like a flashback because modern times, she literally is brainwashed forever. She's
Well, not
brainwashed
forever,
until Wanda loses power. Like, as long as Wanda is like alive and has control over her power, isn't that like a kind of a fire and forget spell she has? So it's kind of like one of those things. If you and that spell lasts until you kill the power source, kind of thing, right? So,
I mean, I think as long as we know I could have sworn she said you're going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, I think Wanda ends the show with saying, "I know exactly where you are, as in I'll come back for you when I need you." And I thought that because I think, was it stated at the end of the show, it's like Agatha will return or whatever. And I would have presumed it was going to be in like Secret Invasion or something like that, but turns out obviously she's going to get her own spin-off. So
you think? So this is gonna be weird, yeah, because like maybe they're doing a season 2 of WandaVision, but that's separate from Agatha show. So Agatha show only makes sense to me if they do flashback, because if they do second season of WandaVision, then they could do current there.
Yeah, I think it's just the direction they take. Like, could be set in the past, could be set in her own mind, where like she's ends up at the end of the series escaping Wanda's like spell because she goes through this whole experience in her mind, kind of WandaVision, going through her own experience in her mind, like, the whole mind trip thing. I think my initial reaction to this was like, why? Like, why? Like, not every character needs a show, man. I don't think Agatha Harkness as a character is gonna work as like a main. Like, I guess it'll work, but is it as cool? Like, sometimes it's nice to have characters who aren't around and then just show up again.
Yeah.
Without us not knowing anything. And you're like, oh, there's
Yeah.
Agatha again. That's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. I agree.
I think this goes back to something I said like 2 to 4 podcasts ago. We were talking about how much is going on in the MCU, and it's like they're just looking for characters to create shows around because they're trying to fill slots on Disney Plus.
33 projects, dude. 33.
That is such a terrible take, bro. That's such a terrible direction to take the MCU. Where now, instead of having like, hey, we got the story we need to tell and we need to make a movie around this, now they're digging and trying to find little things, and it's just, I think it's too much.
Imagine that incentive.
I think the show's
like,
gonna be weak, bro. Like, it's who's gonna be her supporting characters? Who's gonna be the other characters in the show? Like, other people will be like, we don't really care about. Like, I don't understand it.
Mephisto.
I'm just
Dude,
laughing.
you don't
like,
care about Ralph
imagine
Boner?
Mephisto.
Imagine the incentive. Imagine the incentive they have to be like, hey, I guess you
Mephisto.
performed well enough in your show. They're gonna give you your entire own spinoff now. You just gotta kill your performance.
Boner.
Listen, you've been saying Mephisto for over a year now, so I don't want to hear it.
I hope they never.
I haven't.
see it.
I haven't been
Yeah,
saying
I
it.
hope
The
hope
internet
we
has been
never
saying it.
get.
Like,
Like, you've been telling me that the internet's been saying it.
I think Mephisto has been trending on Twitter like 5 or 6 times this year. Like, it's crazy. Like,
Anytime
everyone
there's
wants
a
it.
horn or a devil,
nightmare.
like Loki, you got mentioned in Loki twice.
Do you think Marvel are going to turn around and just do the Mephisto thing because it's like shit? They want it so bad that we just got to.
I
give
hope
it to
they
them
clown
now.
it. I hope they clown it and
Yeah.
just piss everybody off.
I think at this point I would prefer if it was my decision. At this stage I would never put him in just because
I feel like if they try to, they're gonna mess it up.
It's nearly too obvious now. Yeah, so it's like let's just stay away from the character altogether. But I don't know how that
Just
works
put-
then as well.
Just put a frame picture of his comic face like somewhere as like a little reference.
Have it
I
as
think
like
that's
a
what
tattoo on Ralph Boner's back or something.
Yeah.
I think Doctor Strange will be the real proving ground because, like, the way I see it is, if they go through in the entire Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness with Wanda there and he doesn't show up and they make her a big bad without his influence at all, then they literally are just doing like a detour around Mephisto at that point.
Well, this is why I'm saying, like, you know, this is the hidden and true like timeline that we're going to start going into. Like, we're done with cosmic entities, you know, to a point. You know, we're going to get Eternals, but other than that, we're getting magic. We're getting sorcery. We're getting a lot of magic. Yeah. Shang-Chi had a lot of magic. Mm-hmm. Shang-Chi had like a good section of magic. You know, we're seeing a lot of Doctor Strange being thrown around. Yeah. We're seeing like different iterations of like magic being touched upon. We're seeing like the Library of Cagliostro. We're seeing the Darkhold. We're seeing like you know, we see the Eye of Agamotto once again, and like I honestly think we're setting up Doom to like as the penultimate. It's Doom is coming.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Do we get Doom without Fantastic Four again?
No.
We can.
Fantastic Four are coming though as well. So
we totally can.
So wait, the last one that was out was a Fox one, right?
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah.
So was it Fox without MCU or in association with MCU?
It was its own thing.
Oh, it's out.
Yeah. So now they're gonna redo that. So Fox has done Fantastic Four twice, and MCU's never touched it themselves. Then
never.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So the guy who directed I think his name is John Watts. He's the director of the Spider-Man movies. He's just finished up Spider-Man 3, and now he's gone to work on Fantastic Four.
My only ask is that Chris Evans, at some point, in some flashback cameo as Steve Rogers, talks some shit to the Human Torch. I need it.
I would not be surprised if we actually get Chris Evans as the Human Torch in Multiverse of Madness. Boom. and Michael B. Jordan as the Torch as well.
Who do they have play
Too much.
Reed in the first one?
The first one,
or in the first Fantastic Four?
I can't remember the actor's name. I thought he was very good though. I really liked the original Fantastic Four movie. I was still kind of very young, so it kind of hit me right. I was at the right kind of age for it.
It wasn't ScarJo, wasn't the Invisible one. Who was the original Invisible chick too?
Jessica Alba.
Jessica Alba.
Yeah, she was fire.
No, that was Chris Evans.
And Chris Evans, yeah, Chris Evans was great in that movie though.
He was hard as a rock.
So funny.
He wasn't the only one.
Giddy up.
But like when you think about it though, like the movies portrayed that they all went on to like they basically got hit with like the negative zone power, like they got hit with like a wave.
Yeah.
But when I went over the comics again and looked up Doom, he never goes with them. He hates them. Like they absolutely hate each other. Like read everybody thinks that Mr. Fantastic is a fantastic person. He's a dick.
Of course
like
he is, he's the smartest being ever. Like it's like of course you're gonna be a dick. Of course you're gonna be a dick.
Excuse me, sir. Moon Girl, please slow down.
Like he literally writes Dr. Doom's Doom's last name is Doof, and like it just like he just messes with them to the point where like he doesn't he's conducting an experiment, and because he's being distracted, the explosion occurs, which messes with his face, and therefore he has to like wear like a type of faceplate, and I forgot who constructs it, but yeah, like he's separate from the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four are involved in their own scheme, and it's only later when he hears about them that he wants to meddle in their stuff. But like he's already
Fox iteration always made me think that they were like kind of connected.
It's just so weird. Like like, he has to have some point to establish Latveria so that he has his own country. In the terms of the movies, he doesn't have any of that.
No.
And if we don't get Latveria, we don't get like different things that can involve Latveria.
I mean, what's to say it's not already there? Wakanda was always there. You know what I mean? We just haven't talked about it.
True.
They could just like very easily chip it in like that.
That's kind
like
of
he already had the estate.
Yeah.
I kind of think that's what they're gonna do with mutants as well. I think the mutants have always kind of just been there, but in hiding or something like that. Or Xavier's been cloaking them the entire time or something like that. And
they need to go ahead and get the mutants part over with. They need to get mutants in the MCU fully, because it's another thing that we know that is 100% has to come going forward. Like, to tell the story properly.
Confirmed.
I think that if we don't have mutants by like the end of next year, I'm gonna be worried about it.
Am I crazy, or does Shriek refer herself as a mutant in Carnage?
She said my mutations are enhancing.
Yeah, her mutations.
Yeah, she does say mutations.
Okay, that's very close to the MCU for a mutation to exist.
Because before that they've said enhanced for everything.
Yeah.
They've called super soldiers. They've called anybody that had powers. Wanda, they called her enhanced. I think I saw in a review that was talking about how this is the first time we've had in any recent anything that they've said the word mutations or mutants as opposed to the enhanced. So
interesting.
So at that point, can we say that Marvel allowed Sony to use the word mutation?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, I think they would they do hold the rights to that idea of like mutants and mutations, right?
I wonder if Fox has nothing of that still, right?
Fox doesn't exist anymore.
Well, it exists, but under Disney. Yeah.
It was bought out by Disney.
Okay.
Just
They kept the name.
like everything will soon enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all
They no
going
longer exist.
It's all going to Disney. Funny, I was talking about Fox. Obviously, I was listening to an interview with Ryan Reynolds there, and they were talking about like, what was it like, Fox being taken over by Disney and stuff, and he was like, yeah, like, like trying to deal with Disney when you're doing like movies that are kind of like, tongue in cheek, and we did like one of our posters where it's like, from the studio who brought you like The Lion King and so other movies twice. Like apparently like Disney, like he was fought with Disney for like weeks on end to try and even just get that joke in the trailer about Disney. Like it's like they're so strict and they don't even want to make a joke that they've like rebooted movies. Like, so I can imagine life will be probably quite difficult for people like Ryan Reynolds working for Disney, like, trying to get a lot of stuff over the line. Like I'd say, even though it's going to be rated R, I'd say that Deadpool 3 movie is going to be severely censored from what the original vision will be. Like, so that like really kind of scares me as a Deadpool fan. Like that, it could be terrible. Like, I don't think it's going to be terrible, but I just think it could be the movie that we get to see will be a very, very different movie from like Ryan Reynolds' vision.
I feel like the formula, though, if they mess with the formula in that sense, whether they allow it or disallow it, it's going to show Disney how important it is to maintain that formula and to keep it the way it is, because everybody likes stuff like that. Like they already see Deadpool as this loudmouth character, says whatever he wants, and all the characters in that universe also get to say whatever they want. And they also get to rip him in half. I'm gonna rip you in half now.
Yeah. But here's how Disney thinks. They know everyone who watched Deadpool 1 and 2 is going to show up for Deadpool 3. They're trying to get to the people who can't go to see Deadpool 3, They're trying to get the younger audience who can't get in there. They're like, come to the theaters now, kids. Spend all that money.
Yeah.
Well, you remember...
It's Disney now. It's not going to be as bad as the other ones. Like, it's going to be a little more safe for kids, but it's still rated R technically.
Well, they made a second version of Deadpool, too.
That's right. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So they have the power to just do both. I mean, they do it in shows. They do it in, animation. They can do it. Yeah,
they can. But, also I think something to consider is like Disney doesn't care about the money they're going to make off Deadpool. They just don't. They think, 50 years down the line and maintaining that Disney brand throughout. And so I think I don't think Deadpool 3 is going to be rated R. Like I could be wrong, whatever, or it might be rated R, but they're not going to let them do like crazy stuff.
The reports that I heard, because it was one of the first things that came out, obviously when the property was purchased was that they were going to keep it rated R. I think that was the original agreement, because I think that was part of the negotiation, was that they were still allowed to be Deadpool. You know, that it couldn't be dumbed down and kind of like MCU like filtered or whatever. So I believe it will be rated R. But yeah, I think you're right in what you're saying. I don't think we're going to see, like, you know, at the start of the second movie, like he's in the brothels in like in when he's over in like Japan or whatever, and he's like chopping heads off, like you see people's heads proper coming off and everything. Like, it's, I don't think we're going to see that level of violence in a Disney movie. Like,
I know, but am I not filled with blood? Like,
oh, I know, bro. Like, you don't have to tell me
Fairy
these
dust.
things. Like, you don't have to tell me these.
It's fairy
tell me
dust.
these- Yeah,
And
exactly.
imagination.
green mist.
Yeah. Wow.
Disney, man. It's fucking Disney. I've been involved in Disney World for fucking 20 years now, and like their corporate ideas and culture just permeating everywhere and being the talk of the town.
The way I took your context just now, I was thinking you had like a little kiosk in Disney World somewhere,
I do.
just observing.
I just sit there. I don't even go on rides. That's my experience. People bring me popcorn.
Love it. So other news that I heard this week as well. Apparently, now this is maybe, I don't know if it's official. Like, I don't know if it's been officially reported by like Disney or Marvel, but apparently John Bernthal has been recast or like confirmed to be coming back as the Punisher in the MCU. So I saw
I saw that.
I saw some like reputable sites reporting it, like nothing like from the official Marvel page or anything like that. But I think just it's been one we've kind of been talking about for fucking months at this stage. Like, you know, it's pretty obvious if they're bringing back, you know, Charlie Cox as Daredevil and stuff like that they're going to bring back John Bernthal as the Punisher.
You know what I just learned about him? He was on a Hot Ones episode.
Yeah, it was only yesterday. I watched it.
Yeah, I didn't know
it was
he went
excellent.
to like the Russian Moscow School of Theater or something, and he's like, they do these exercises where like you have to read a monologue, and during your monologue they'll have like 3 different people interrupt, and then the guy will cough and clap, and he'll be like, all right, who were the people interrupted? How many times did I cough? How many times did I clap? What was your like?
And you have to recite.
Crazy.
Then he had to recite the, like, he was told to read a newspaper article, and while he's trying to count how many claps and coughs he hears and taking note of who asked him a question and what the question was, he has to, while answering, everyone in the room has to answer all those questions, but while he's also answering questions, he has to then still recite the newspaper article as well. I was listening to that going, Jesus Christ, like, you know, the amount that's actually involved in acting is crazy. Like,
No wonder he's a goddamn psycho.
He seems super like articulate and like
he's a
well
very
put together.
He's a very cool dude. I would highly recommend anybody. And we're not sponsored by Hot Ones here, but check out Hot Ones, guys. Watch that fucking episode. It's great. It's about 28 minutes, I think, and he's very good in it. He talks a bit about the Punisher and talks about like Walking Dead and Wolf of Wall Street. His story about Wolf of Wall Street was great. Did you hear it? Did you listen to that?
I don't think I finished it. No.
So he's basically asked about like what it was like working with Martin Scorsese and stuff, and he was saying it was just like an incredible experience. Everyone was so professional. But he was telling a story about Leo, and apparently one of the days Leo was walking to set, and one of the guys who he had working on his security team was actually a New Yorker who actually did an interview to become security for the real Jordan Belfort at one point. And Leo was just like, wow, you got to meet him, what was it like and all, and what was the interview like? And your man just said he literally just handed me a pen and said, sell me this pen. And Leo loved the story, went in, and during the scene, that whole scene is improv. Leo just went in and just used that real life story in the middle of a shot, and Scorsese was just like, wow, and just left it in the movie. Like, it's crazy. Like, and it just makes that scene, because I love that scene in the movie, and it just makes that scene even so much more special, realizing that it's actually improv. Like, and then the whole thing with McConaughey like banging his chest and all, that was improv as well. So like
they leave in where like Leo looks over at
and he's kind of like, what the
Scorsese
fuck do I do?
Screen, like, do I go with this? And he was like, go with it.
Yeah. Oh man,
It was like an exercise from McConaughey, right?
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, it's cool. Like, definitely listen to that. Hot Ones episode. It's great. Couple of rumors I heard this week, which I don't know if they're real or not. I'll put up a little spoiler thing on the screen here, but again, this is not confirmed. So again, it's speculation more so than spoilers. But apparently there was a set photo release from Doctor Strange 2, and apparently in that movie there's going to be the Ultron robots from What If are going to be in that film. So the robots that we saw Ultron controlling, and apparently there's a apparent set photo that leaked of Benedict Cumberbatch being brought into a room, or it looks like he's being brought in front of somebody as a prisoner, and he's being carried in by 2 Ultron robots, but they have the green tint in their eyes, so they're like hacked by Zola. So I again don't know what the hell any of it means, but apparently the people that he's being brought in front of is the Illuminati. So like insanity, bro, insanity. If true, crazy.
Post-credit scene, possibly?
Maybe, yeah. Because like I know there's like heavy rumors of Patrick Stewart. They're gonna de-age him and throw him in a hovering chair, like, you know, in the 90s cartoon and stuff. Like, it's gonna be crazy. So I think that's his purpose of being in that film, is to be on the Illuminati like board or whatever, or council. Also there was I don't know if it's a rumor or if it's a fact, but there's an Echo show coming on Disney, and apparently Charlie Cox is going to be so heavily involved in it that their insiders are kind of referring to it as Daredevil season 4. So it's kind of a continuation from the Netflix series with Matt Murdock and the introduction of Echo and stuff. So it's being kind of considered as the Daredevil season 4, basically, which is crazy.
I mean, that does sound correct, considering that you were saying that the Book of Boba was going to be almost like another season of Mandalorian.
Exactly. Yeah. So like they're definitely, and again, like I'll go back to 33 projects. Like, you know, there's so much going on that like stuff like this just sounds like absolute fact. Like, you know, also I don't really know much about America Chavez as a character. Alex, you probably know a bit, do you? It's a Marvel character who has the power to basically pass through different multiverses and dimensions and stuff like that. But apparently, rumor has it that Wanda is going to be looking to interact with this guy and take his powers, because she thinks that with his power she can go through the multiverse and find her kids. And apparently that's going to be like kind of one of the main storylines that Wanda has.
What was the name again?
America Chavez.
That's a female.
Oh, Miss America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss America.
So yeah, apparently has the power to go between multiverses and shit like that. So apparently that's what Wanda's after. That's her kind of next plot line, apparently, which is crazy. And then I think I spoke about it already, but the Null, the god of the symbiotes, has been rumored for a live action Spider-Verse with
It just
all
seems too soon.
with all of the Spideys and Tom Hardy. So I think that's, you say it's too, you say it's too soon. You say it's too soon, but like, do you mean like in like IRL timelines or just in like storytelling timelines?
This has been since December. They've had the casting for that American Chavez, by the way.
Yeah.
The chick's name is XO Chitol Gomez.
Nice.
I'm not gonna ever say that right. Zotl?
So, you'd pronounce it Xochitl.
Okay, yeah, her. She's been cast.
Cool. So yeah, that's all coming, bros. Crazy shit. I think, like, you know, we're gonna get our heads blown off by Spider-Man in December, but I think Doctor Strange 2 is gonna just change the world.
I mean, okay, so going back to Null though, I mean it can work, but we gotta see it maybe in the Eternals when they talk about the Celestials.
Yeah.
Because
I think
Null decapitates someone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think they're just slowly building to it in everything that we're getting, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens in the Eternals, and it's like, oh shit, they've been actually connecting this stuff for years now in development and stuff like that. Like, I truly believe that that's what's going on in the background, and we're only starting to get the first drips of it now, you know.
Right. And like it would correlate with Gore the God Butcher too. Because Noel ends up stranded on Gore's home planet.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that as well. These are all characters on the way.
I'm just ready to be like 6 months in the future where like we're actually deep into MCU world, where like all these projects are finally rolling. We're getting confirmations on series. We know how far the multiverse goes.
Yeah.
I have thoroughly not enjoyed this like very slow rollout of this phase where so much is up in the air.
Yeah.
We don't want to skip. Oh, hang on. I'll agree with that sentiment, but after I see Doctor,
Well, I think
then,
like
then give me 6 months.
we should have seen Eternals a year ago, so it's kind
Yeah.
of we're kind of just we're getting so much content so quickly after such a long break from Endgame that like
Yeah.
stuff like Shang-Chi should have been seen last year as well. And I think if you saw that movie 8 or 9 months after watching Endgame, I think it would have been like a lot better, And
Definitely.
then,
And we've been speculating for so long. It's just like I'm ready to be done with like the speculation.
yeah.
At least on this part of it. Like I'm ready to speculate about phase 6. You know what I mean? Like I just like I need this to get along with it because
Yeah.
it sounds so amazing, but I feel like I've been spun into circles now by all the speculation where I'm just gonna be let down by everything. Like it's just nothing's good's gonna happen because of it.
Oop. Excuse me. I gotta get the fuck out the house.
Uh-oh.
All right, I gotta go, guys. I gotta go pick up Katie and take her to the airport.
Pleasure, dude. As always.
Yeah,
Great,
dude.
guys.
Later.
Great chat.
Marvelous.
Chat
Lovely
to you soon,
chats with
brother.
all you chaps.
Haha, let's go. See you
Later,
later,
guys.
dude. Later.
Hey, brother.
Yeah, like Drunky, I think you're absolutely right. There's been so much kind of built up online and everything like that, and there's just been like zero payoff so far. And like we've been waiting so long for it. So I just think, I know it's going to be good. It's going to be worth the wait. But yeah, it's just there's so much up in the air. There's so much unknown. Like there's rumors of a new Spider-Man trailer in the next couple of weeks. And rumor has it that we're going to see Andrew and Toby in that trailer. So
I feel like this was the year of the hype, and none of it ever got lived up to for everything.
Yeah.
WandaVision, every project, Falcon, Winter Soldier, so much hype, and then we slowly realized, the reason that was so much hype is because they just picked out the best parts from the show, showed us that in the trailer, and then gave us the show.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, for sure. Like I think, on paper, the first couple of like projects of the year all sounded amazing on paper. Like WandaVision, you were like, "What? This is going to be crazy." Loki, you're like, "This is going to be nuts." And like Loki for me was fun. And then like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was thinking like, "Geez, this is going to be amazing to see Bucky on the small screen and get to like develop these characters so much more." But then it just turned out to be like just such a letdown, It was hard. Like,
Yeah.
it was hard.
The biggest of letdowns, man.
True.
It's just
Fact.
yeah. It
A
is
boat that never sailed, you could say.
it's no one's fault. Like COVID happened, you know what I mean? Like that whole thing got to be rejuggled, but it's just we're just at a point where I'm ready. And I heard we were gonna get a Doctor Strange trailer within the next month, which would be nuts to see that.
Awesome.
I think the Doctor Strange trailer will probably be attached to either Eternals or maybe Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man might be a little late. Although I wonder, do we need to have seen Spider-Man before we see any Doctor Strange footage? Because I think they're going to be so linked together. So, yeah, I don't know.
I'm in a pretty happy spot now because I know that everything, it's only going to get better. Eternals, I think, is going to be decent. And then I know Spider-Man's going to be a banger. And, like, it's only going to get better from here.
Oh, yeah, like, I have full faith in the movies. I have full faith in Hawkeye. Just from everything I've heard, like, with Vincent D'Onofrio and stuff like that, I just think, like, it's going to... The Hawkeye story itself might not be the best, but I just think what it's going to drip feed us and feed us into some of these other projects coming down the line, I think is just going to have serious payoff. It's going to be incredible. Yeah, big time. Big time. I'm trying to think, was there any like kind of Star Wars news this week? Oh, there's a bit of DC news. So apparently there was a couple of leaks from the Black Adam set. So they kind of showed a couple of his suits and stuff like that. Like the pictures weren't great. They showed a picture apparently of like a Hawkman suit reveal, but I don't know how real it was. It didn't really look real. And then as well, there's been reports that Henry Cavill's been seen on set, which I don't know if is true or not. There's a picture which, hang on, let me see if I can find it. I don't think it's real, but I was looking for it the other day. I heard shout out to Josh in the Den of Nerds. I heard him talking about it, and I was like, oh, I gotta Google this and see if I can find it, because he didn't want to pull it up and get banned on his YouTube channel. So I was like, I'm gonna, because like Warner Brothers are ridiculous on YouTube, like they're throwing bans out everywhere. So yeah, I have it here. Hang on. So don't know if you can see that on the stream. I don't want to share my second screen because it looks shit. But apparently this picture here was taken on the set of Black Adam. And apparently it's Cavill kind of hiding the suit, but he's in like a rain jacket or something like this. I don't know how real it is, but yeah, I don't know. I know The Rock he's been absolutely dying to get in a fight with Henry Cavill on screen, and I think he's got some real power in Hollywood that I think, if he says it enough, I think he can make it happen. I really do. They're the suits there. I don't know, like, picture The Rock in them. I suppose they probably look better with him in them, like. But then I think this is as well, like the Hawkman's helmets and stuff, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
What else?
It's because I'm thinking of Buff Dudes. Didn't they have a trailer for Peacemaker this weekend?
I think it's coming out during the DC fandom, but I don't know if it's out yet. I don't think it's out right now, but it's soon to be out.
I remember seeing something about.
There's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of DC stuff coming out in the next couple of weeks for sure.
Where is that going to live on? What platform?
HBO, yeah.
HBO.
Yeah. DC tried it with their own kind of streaming service for a while, which wasn't even available to me in EU. Like, I couldn't even buy it if I wanted to, which was crazy. I'm like, how can you release a streaming platform show like Doom Patrol, Titans, Young Justice, all these shows, and not have it available for anybody in EU?
They just partnered with NordVPN, bro.
But I don't even think I heard a lot of people kind of complaining that they couldn't even use like EU credit cards to pay for the subscriptions and stuff. So it was proper region locked. So I couldn't even like officially buy a membership and use a VPN to watch it.
They take Bitcoin though, bro. Just buy in Bitcoin, use a VPN, live in 2021. That's what they want from you.
How dare you, sir? Love it, dude. Yeah. If there's nothing else, guys, I think we can probably break for the week.
What should we do? Any movies next week?
Well, I think we need to, because I don't think we have any content really to talk about. There's no shows. Like what if's now over, so I think we need probably a movie or two. I'll be maybe able to talk some shit about Venom, and yeah. So I don't know.
Let me see. So it looks like we ended last off, technically Black Widow. Just kind of skipped over it.
Which just came out on Disney Plus for all the people that want to rewatch it.
Boop, 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 boop. So next we would have no, we did Civil War last technically. So we have Homecoming and Doctor Strange, which is actually the perfect two. Kind of going forward. It's not going to be
say that again, sorry.
Homecoming.
Oh yeah.
And then Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah. Jesus, again, we're hitting the timings kind of on the head as well. Like they're the two next big movies to be released. Yeah. So yeah, happy days. Okay.
Actually, I think this is. I think I'm on a wrong list. This might be chronological because I believe it should have been Black Panther next, right?
I think all three of those movies were released IRL around the same time, and I think they fall in the timeline around the same time as well. Because I've seen a couple of different lists that list out the movies in different orders, and obviously you're not going to get Homecoming on Disney Plus, so you won't see it in that list at all. So I think
then I'm on another list that has a completely different order.
Exactly.
That says we would be doing.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
I've seen this before.
I'm just gonna go by whatever
Just do
I'm not on
Disney.
Disney Plus. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever
just
Disney Plus.
whatever
has.
Disney say, and just kind of throw Spider-Man in there whenever. I don't even think it really matters.
I'm excited to watch Spider-Man. I haven't seen that in a few years.
It's so good, bro. I love that movie. I just like I'll never forget the reaction when you first find out that Michael Keaton is the girlfriend's fucking dad. I was just like, what? I was like proper thrown by that when I first saw it. It was
Tom
crazy.
says that he whispered in his ears in between takes, "I'm Batman."
Yeah.
That's what Michael Keaton did to him the whole time.
Legend. Quick, just before we go as well, Drunky, sorry I didn't get a chance to be in the stream last night. How was Far Cry 6?
Really good, really
Yeah.
strong, man. Yeah, big fan of Far Cry 6 and what they're doing.
It looks beautiful. Looks beautiful.
Yeah, it runs really well too, like surprisingly well.
Yeah.
Compared to all the other Ubisoft games I've played lately, and that like I stream at the same time, and so like they're always lagging because you're using all that power. So good. The storyline's good so far. The world seems huge. So I played about like 5 hours, and that was kind of like the intro island, and now you're getting to the main island after that. So I'm ready.
Cool.
The whole Sicario thing doesn't feel played out to you?
I mean, like not so much as like any other thing is played out at this point. It's like everything's just kind of been done, and like how do you make your characters, and the characters are really good.
Did you ever play like Ghost Recon Wildlands or whatever that one was called? I think that's what that whole game feels like, exactly what Far Cry 6 is. It's like you're chasing down drugs, Sicario, stuff like that.
This really feels like Just Cause, where it's like you're kind of locking down areas, you're ziplining, parachuting everywhere. It's that's my vibes. I get from it.
Cool. Oh, I'm gonna have to peep it. Are you playing again tonight?
Yeah, I actually might not stream tonight because I might just do a makeup stream on Sunday because I'm backed up right now. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, everybody in the chat, you know what to do. Go check out Drunky. Go check out Kyle over on Twitch. If you like the content on YouTube, guys, make sure you follow the channel, subscribe if you're new, all the usual YouTube lark, and we'll be on Spotify as well. So if you're on Spotify and you like to just listen to our beautiful voices through these amazing microphones, make sure to check us out on Spotify.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Also, Fento's review on Saints of Newark was completely wrong. Don't trust him. It was a terrible movie.
How dare you, sir? Was it better than Venom?
Oh yeah, but like so what? Like,
yeah. I could shoot better movies than that on my phone by the sounds of it. I don't know. Yeah, like, can we talk about this actually for a minute before we go? Because like,
sure.
I'd love to know what you like. Because I know, for me, the things I didn't like about the movie was that there wasn't enough Johnny Soprano, and there wasn't enough, or there was too much kind of Dickie Moltisanti in it. For me, and again, I haven't watched The Sopranos in years. My girlfriend's never seen it, so I'm going to be doing a full series rewatch of it, and I'm curious now after seeing the movie how much of it we actually will kind of notice from little references throughout the show, because I'd say there's probably a lot of like talk between Christopher and Tony about Dickie and growing up and stuff like that. Like, and it would have all gone over my head like watching the show when I was younger, because I just didn't really care about the lore of the families and stuff back then, whereas now I think I probably would be interested in it more, and seeing kind of the family, how it was run before Junior takes over and makes his moves and so on, which again I thought was absolutely outrageous that Uncle Junior basically kills a guy because he laughs at him falling over. Like, I'm just like, it's outrageous, but
at that.
Yeah, it's outrageous at that, but at the same time it really like strikes at how fucking insane Junior is as a character and as a person. Like, he's just batshit crazy, like, and I think that just kind of like echoes through the first couple of seasons of the show as well. If you remember, like he tries to fucking kill Tony, and like towards the end of season 1 of the show, like, and you're just kind of like, what the fuck? He's trying to kill his nephew? Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
So he's he's a batshit character, like, and I just thought it was really cool the way they kind of linked that up.
I think people will enjoy it if they love The Sopranos and they're only there to see a prequel to The Sopranos.
Yeah.
This thing has a lot of fan service in it, and it is cool to kind of see those characters in a younger version of themselves. I think all the actors do a phenomenal job capturing the mannerisms and the personalities and the acting, taking on those characters.
Yeah.
You said there was like a little bit too much of Dickie in the movie. I think there wasn't enough. This is a story about Dickie it should have been a story about Dickie and more to do with him, just kind of in the Soprano universe. Um, and so I think that David Chase is kind of right on there, where he was like kind of pushing and pulling towards that, to where Dickie's kind of like the main storyline. But there's no real satisfaction or payoffs to everything that they're setting up. You know, the riots just kind of like fizzle away. The Harold, I think his name was, who kind of is, you know, the black character who is mad that the Italians are taking over Newark, right? Like there's no real payoff to like his situation. There's no payoffs to the story that they're setting up. You know, Dickie goes to see his uncle or whatever in prison. There's no payoff or rhythm to that. Like, why was he even going? What was the purpose of all that? There's no payoff there. There's just they set up so much, and it's just all for nothing. And you know, Junior just kind of whacks Dickie because he kind of felt slighted by him, and you know. That had been building up a little bit more, where where the Punisher was talking crap about Junior earlier in it, you know, and so like they kind of set it up, but like it just as a story, as a movie, there is not enough of proper structure where like this pays this off, this pays that off, and it's not satisfying at the end. It's just open ended, and it just ends, and you're like, oh right, like what was the purpose of this?
Like I think you're right, and I think you know, the more I think about it, it's like there was all these storylines that were building up around Dickie, and then Dickie gets killed, and it's like everything just stops. And then like as well for the entire movie, what I didn't like about like Tony's character was he was just complete pussy for the entire movie. Like, and then at the very end, the only like you see a slight glimpse in his eye of him kind of just like turning evil, or you know, turning into the boss because he needs to because his uncle is dead or whatever. Like, but it's like. I don't know. It's just like I thought that Tony's character would have been developed a lot more in the movie. I just think he's kind of like AJ Soprano throughout the series for the whole fucking movie, and then at the very end, it's like, oh yeah, I'm Tony Soprano now. Like, you know, it's like, and like for me, when I went, I didn't really know much about the movie, and to be honest, I had forgotten that it was actually out until a friend of mine texted me going, "Are we going to see this movie?" And I was like, "Oh my god, it's actually out now." I was like, "Holy shit!" So I wasn't really like. You know, I wanted to see it, but I wasn't really like kind of following it too much. I wasn't reading any reviews or anything like that. I only checked the casting when I was like standing outside the theater because I was waiting for one of the guys to show up, and I was like, oh my god, like I didn't realize half the cast were actually in it. Like I was like, this is gonna be crazy. So went in completely blind, and from my own kind of memories of the show, which were obviously scattered because I hadn't seen it in years. I thought the story was going to be about Johnny Soprano, and that's why I was kind of thrown by it a bit in the movie, because I'm like, there's so much Dickie going on in it that I'm like, where the fuck is Johnny, like, you know? So, and then obviously he gets locked up in the movie, but he gets back out. One thing I loved your one who played the mother. Like, I thought, like, I love her in the Conjuring movies and stuff like that, and I thought she played that character so much. Like, she's, for me personally, like the mother,
Tony's
like
mom, right?
Yeah, Tony's mother. Yeah, she's one of my most hated characters in the show. You're backing out?
Yeah, I'm gonna dip out it, because I haven't seen this.
No, it's cool.
I don't want to be an awkward weirdo staring at you two the whole time. It was marvelous. Love you, dudes. Hope you guys have a great night.
Bye bye. Yes.
Yeah, like I only got like two more minor things about it. Like one with the mom, I thought it was pretty cool how they set up her or like Tony's eating problems with scenes in this where like she puts a big plate of food in front of him and then starts like love bombing him. Yeah. And then like pulling that out from underneath him and like causing all this trauma while he's eating. I thought it was kind of like a funny, like, oh, this is how you become fat in life, is like this. And then also I thought it was really cool that they ended, not ended, but like the place he was supposed to meet his uncle. That's actually the spot where he dies. Yeah. And like I thought that was a really cool way to kind of come full circle. Yeah. Is that moment is kind of where Tony the kid dies because his uncle lets him down, right? Yeah. And like that's where he dies as a kid, and where again he comes back and theoretically dies as like an adult, you know?
Yeah. So like I know like in the show, like how the Sopranos had a very like kind of famous ending, where it was kind of left up to interpretation, like, you know, did he die or did he not, or what did the last scene mean? And, you know, I've seen like breakdowns back in the day because I remember watching it for the first time just going like, what the fuck was that, like, you know, what's going on? And then like I saw breakdowns of like the last scene where if you see like pans of like the restaurant that they're in, it's like there's characters in there that had actually died previously in the show and stuff. So I think the whole last scene is meant to be like, you know, Tony ascending into heaven or something. Like, it's actually technically didn't happen. So like, you know, and again, that's all kind of just like rumor, really, like, because there's no confirmation from the creators that actually he died or not. They wanted to keep it as a kind of, you interpret it the way you want. And I thought what was kind of clever about the movie as well is when the movie starts, we pan to a fucking graveyard, and again, we're supposed to think that this is Tony's funeral that we're viewing, but we don't actually see anything. And then it's Christopher doing the narration, talking about how much of a dickhead his Uncle Tony was, and his Uncle Tony killed him. But it's like, obviously Christopher's dead as well, so he wouldn't be there. So it didn't make sense that he was narrating, but at the same time, it was just kind of fun. And I just thought it was interesting how they still kind of gave us an answer, but kept it up in the air at the same time, you know? So
I think, yeah, I think if you really look at the end of Sopranos from like a cinematography point of view,
yeah,
there's no way that he's alive. Like,
yeah,
I think from cinematography, he's dead. Like,
I think he's dead too as well. Yeah,
the
but
scene was one of the best shot
Yeah.
scenes in terms of like a filmmaker telling you without having to show you what's going on that I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I've no question in my mind that he was dead the whole time, and I think the graveyard scene is what actually cements it for me. Like, I think, like, absolutely he's dead. Like, but I still think it's kind of funny because they're not directly telling you. So again, it's still kind of up to interpretation. So some people might think he's not dead. Like, you know,
Right.
like if you like, you know, you might get people that are like, no, I can't believe that he's dead. Like, you know, the show, I can't let it end like that. So it's like, you believe it however you want then. He is just out for dinner with his family at the end, you know. Like, it's up to you, like, you know. The happy ending's there if that's how you want to take it, you know. So I don't know. I enjoyed the movie, but there were definitely problems with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Waste of a movie. Waste of an opportunity.
my parents, I have a copy of it for my parents, and like, they're diehard fans. So I'm very curious to let them watch it and just be like, okay, tell me what you think, like, because they watch it once a year. Like, they're like the most diehard like Sopranos fans I've ever seen in my life. So it'll be very interesting to see what they think. And my dad's a very honest man as well. Like, you know, if he thinks something shit, he'll tell you. Like, you know, he's not gonna be loyal to the show and just say, oh, you know, it was good. Like, even though, like, he'll be like, if it's shit, he'll let me know. Like, so
Right.
yeah, for sure. All right, dude. Thank you very much. Great to talk, and we'll see you next week.
Later, brother.
Later. Bye bye. Bye bye bye.